When this boy snaps back to his senses in the school restroom, the first thing he sees is his classmate, who immediately starts panicking and making excuses. "I'm not a pervert, okay? I wasn't spying on you. You were just standing there frozen, so I came to check." But Shan isn't buying any of it. He grabs the guy by the shoulders and demands to know, what the hell is a school kid doing in a criminal hideout? Now everyone around them starts whispering, thinking Shan's completely lost his mind. He ignores them all and instead asks what date and time it is. The answer hits him like a truck. He's been sent back, nearly 10 years into the past. You see, Shan isn't just some random student. In his previous life, he was an elite special forces soldier, ruthless, precise, and fully dedicated to taking down the worst criminals out there. But during a mission targeting a powerful, corrupt, rich bastard, everything went wrong. His own partner betrayed him, shot him in the back, for money. And now somehow, he's back in his school days. He cannot believe his ears or even his eyes when he catches his reflection in the mirror. He slaps himself hard just to test if this is some sort of dream. When it finally sinks in that his dying wish has been fulfilled, he smirks like a devil. He vows to murder the criminals in this timeline which he failed last before regression. Just then, a group of girls walks past and his eyes lock onto one with striking purple hair. He finds himself staring shamelessly at her, with his blood rushing from his nose as he mutters to himself. The girls shake their heads and hurry off, calling him an idiot for giving himself a nosebleed with slaps while talking nonsense. Shan clenches his fist as he remembers this very day. The purple-haired girl is destined to be murdered in cold blood, and he swears that saving her will be his very first mission in this new life. He makes his way to the exact spot where the tragedy is going to happen. A few girls nearby are gossiping about how someone spotted a pervert at the school gate. Our boy knows that this perv could just be the one. He clears his throat and knocks to draw their attention. He walks in with a large water can as he did before regression. He comes up with the same excuse that the water is out in the classroom building again, and he needs to borrow some. He silently fills the can, but inside he is restless. His eyes are flicking toward the bathroom where the purple-haired girl is still showering. He checks the time and right on cue, a scream echoes through the hallway. A girl shouts that a pervert is peeking at the bathroom. Shan turns sharply and spots the filthy man sprinting toward the door. Memories flood back. This was the moment that cursed his very life. On the 12th of April, 2015, a perv slipped into the girl's bath. When the students saw him, they panicked and bolted out, leaving her unprotected. Shan remembers standing there frozen. Back then, he had a chance to act and to stop everything, but he was a coward. He crouched down, hiding his face between his knees, while the pervert forced his way inside. That cowardice cost the girl everything. The harassment left her so shattered that she vanished from their lives completely. Rumors spread that she had transferred, but no one ever saw her again. The world moved on and people forgot. Shan, however, could never erase it from his mind. The incident carved itself deep into his heart, taking the form of some demon. While others graduated peacefully, he dropped out and chose the military, desperate to grow stronger so he would never be that powerless again. In that timeline, he manages to get into the special forces, and there he repeatedly gets punished for breaking discipline. But no matter what they do, they cannot crush the rage that lives inside of him. He cannot convince himself how evil people walk free after ruining other lives. Before long, he earns the title of the Lone Wolf and keeps trying to rid the world of evil. Back in the present, Shan stands staring at the perv with the intention of finally getting his revenge. Normally, he would have gone straight to Master Chen Xiao to cut the evil at its root, but first he wants to fix some of the regrets left from his past life, before regression. He chooses violence as a method to deal with violence and lifts the heavy water can, smashing it into the pervert with full force. The man slams into the wall and screams that he will kill whoever hit him. Shan does not stop there. He jumps over the girls and brings his boot down onto the perv's head from above. The perv proves tougher than Shan expected, and that blow is not enough to finish him. He scrambles back, which makes Shan realize just how much more training he still needs. The perv lunges with a dagger, but Shan dodges the slash very easily. He then grabs his wrist and kicks his hand to force him to drop the knife and then slams him again hard to the ground. Even after the perv falls, Shan keeps punching the man's head as if it was a punching bag or a sack of fresh potatoes. 10 years have passed, but seeing this face still rips open all the old wounds, so he keeps hitting non-stop. While he tries to atone for his past regrets, the girl he saved pleads with him to stop. She argues that if he keeps beating the man, he might actually kill him, and she does not want him to do that. She thanks him for saving her but asks him to look away as she gets embarrassed. Sometime later, police cars crowd outside, and the officers drag the creep away in cuffs while he tries to make excuses. The man in charge turns to our hero and asks where he picked up those smooth moves from earlier. Shan dodges his question, claiming he just picked them up from movies. The officer doesn't buy it, and points out that no ordinary person could pull off skills like that. He then tries making a move on our boy, clearly fishing to get a reaction out of him. Shan simply fixes him with a cold death stare and reminds him flatly that assaulting a civilian isn't exactly legal. The cop freezes mid-motion, realizing this kid is radiating a killer aura. Just then, The purple-haired girl from earlier steps forward and tries to defend Shan. She shoots him a wink while the officer grumbles that his actions still don't justify treating someone like a punching bag. Sometime later, Shan finally makes it home and announces his return. His mom instantly switches to yapping mode and starts to scold him for coming back so late, reminding him she was waiting with dinner on the table. She keeps going, complaining that he's turned into a troublemaker, while his father spoils him rotten and ignores his bad habits completely. Hearing that, he suddenly calls her in an emotional voice and hugs her tightly from behind, leaving her completely flabbergasted. She panics a little, asking what's wrong and if anyone dared to bully him. Moments later, the two sit down to eat together. She eyes him suspiciously, saying he's been acting strange lately and wonders if he's sick. He assures her he's fine, then promises her with a serious look that he'll listen to her every word from now on. That instantly brightens her mood, and she tells him just to stay focused on school and land a stable job. Shan happily digs into the food, thinking to himself how much he missed her endless lectures all this time. Later in his room, he admits out loud that he truly missed these quiet, ordinary nights. He reflects that for most people, keeping such peace takes real effort, yet evil scum can shatter it in an instant. He pumps his fist in the air and declares that in this new life, he is going to help change the world and leave nothing behind to regret. The very next morning, one of the teachers praises him openly for his efforts yesterday. All the schoolgirls can't stop eyeing him like candy, whispering to each other about how insanely hot he looked while fighting. On his way to class, a fat professor also stops him to say a job well done, adding that the principal wants to reward him. Shan looks gloomier than ever, thinking he never expected he would blow up this much. He wonders if class might at least be peaceful, but the second he opens the door, the entire room erupts in chaos. Just then, a bald dude immediately rushes over and starts talking about him excitedly, claiming Shan looked just like a pro fighter. Shan offers to teach him a few moves, which makes the guy even more excited, while a blonde at the front rages in silence. Snapping his pen in rage, the blonde mutters it was just a fight, and Shan can stop showing off already. He slams a hand down on Shan's desk, but our boy doesn't even twitch in response. Shan calmly asks if something is bothering the class rep. The blonde guy smirks nastily and says that Shan didn't bother to turn in his English homework yesterday. Shan slides the folder forward and asks if he's a celebrity now, since the rep himself is showing up just to collect it. The baldy swoons all over again, asking if he should start calling him master. Right then, a sharp tearing sound catches our hero by surprise. The class rep had ripped Shan's entire homework folder clean in half, while smugly stating that this doesn't count and he has to write it all over again. Seeing his hard work torn to bits, his fanboy has a nuclear breakdown and asks the class rep why he had to rip his homework for absolutely no reason. But the rep smugly looks down on our boy and tells him to write it 10 times before the day ends. That makes his loyal fanboy really mad, but the rep's bodyguard quickly warns the chimp to mind his tongue in front of the master. Our boy stands up straight and agrees to write it down again if the class rep also agrees to say sorry. The blonde brat questions why he would ever do that, so he gets in the guy's face and tells him his trashy attitude seriously needs to be fixed. That pops a couple more vessels in the bodyguard's head, and the man decides to punish him with his giant fists. But our boy slides to the side and the man quickly realizes he is way too good at dodging punches. Right then, an innocent girl enters the class and sees the huge guy running straight toward her. Seeing that the punch he dodged is about to hit her, Shan quickly rushes in and pulls her away before she gets her face busted. He then asks the teary-eyed girl if she is okay, and she answers that his fist only scraped her little nose. That makes our boy absolutely furious, and he climbs on top of the huge bodyguard, saying if his hand is used to hit someone innocent, then he does not need his hand in the first place. With that, he snaps it like a twig and leaves the cocky giant screaming loudly and yelling in pain over a tiny joint dislocation. Boiling with rage and anger, the class rep grabs a table by the leg, but before he can even move, our hero jumps him and grabs him firmly by the neck. He then proceeds to choke the life out of the fool before throwing a well-deserved punch. But right before he finally dishes out justice, a teacher stops Shan and asks him if punching kids at school is his latest new hobby. The girl tells the teacher, who is actually the director of the disciplinary committee, that he was only trying to protect her. However, the class rep grins wide as the director takes Shan straight to his office. The man asks our boy if he is crazy for picking a fight with the Yang family's young master. When he asks why that is such a big issue, the man sadly replies that Tianli's father is so influential that even the principal makes sure not to step directly on his tail. While he understands that kids are fired up often in their young days, he advises our boy to suck it up, write an apology letter, and behave more civilized next time. Hearing that, Shan feels conflicted about having to suck up to the corrupt trash and simply move on. But when he steps out of the director's office, he sees everyone gathered outside, cheering loudly for him on teaching the scumbag a lesson. The girl from before also offers him a water bottle in appreciation, smiling softly at her new crush. Seeing all that, the class rep and his bodyguard completely freak out at our boy becoming popular again after a stunt. Gorilla Man angrily asks the class rep if he is really going to just sit by and offers to bring his homies later to beat him up after school. But the class rep tells him to simmer down because he was too hasty before, and beating up the enemy is a low IQ move anyway. He claims the world runs on rupees, and those who wield true power are the ones who make the rules. With that said, he calls his uncle for legal advice and asks the man the best way to get someone thrown into juvenile detention. Back in class, Shan's new buddy starts throwing high kicks and asks if he's doing it right. Shan tells him not to extend too far unless he wants to tear something. Right then, the purple-haired girl from before steps in and asks if Shan belongs to this class. Every guy immediately starts drooling over how gorgeous she is, wondering how bro managed to catch her attention. His buddy nudges him hard, telling him to go meet her already, but Shan just sits there frozen. Outside the classroom, Lin wastes no time and asks with zero hesitation if he's free tonight. She slips him her father's business card and says the man wants to thank him personally. Seeing the family name, Shan instantly recalls that Lin's father had been a rising figure before the rewind, only to mysteriously vanish without any reason later. Taking the card, he calmly tells her to let her father know he was just fulfilling his natural duty as an alpha male. Walking off, he adds that Commander Lin shouldn't stress over such trivial matters. Back in class, his buddy bombards him with questions, and Shan jokes that Commander Lin proposed to marry his daughter to him. Before the room settles, a student arrives saying the principal wants to see our hero. The class rep still wears that nasty grin as he orders Shan to go right away. Soon after, the principal is tearing into him, saying that if the blockhead dies, Shan will be branded a murderer. Looking at the supposed medical reports of skull fractures, Shan points out the ink isn't even dry yet. The principal slams his desk, demanding to know if Shan is accusing him of lying. Scanning the pages, Shan recalls he never even touched the guy's head, and realizes this reeks of the class rep's handiwork. The principal insists he at least defend himself, but the reports look like solid proof. Dropping his hands to the desk, Shan gets serious and tells the principal to come with him to the hospital to meet the so-called patient face-to-face. Getting up close, Shan warns him straight up not to get dragged into this mess, adding that Tianli isn't half as untouchable as he thinks. The principal snaps, stammering like crazy, wondering when this kid suddenly turned into Sherlock with his deductions. Right then, the door bursts open and two officers rush in, declaring that Shan is guilty of assault and must be investigated. Our boy gets marched out of the building in cuffs, while the class rep stands there looking smug. The blonde mocks Shan and asks if he really thought he could challenge him. He even tosses a fake goodbye, but our boy fires back coldly that this war is far from over. Inside the interrogation room, the officer slams down papers and yells that Han Chong suffered 3 cracked ribs. He jabs at the medical notes and orders Shan to sign the confession immediately. When Shan doesn't budge, the cop switches tactics, trying to gaslight him and demanding to know why he would attack a classmate. But our hero stays ice cool, telling him to just pull up Chong's phone and check his transfer records. The officer snaps that Shan is under official investigation, but our boy then calmly replies that he won't say a single word without a lawyer present. Looking at the cameras, he points out that none of them are even working, and that the officers stormed in without a valid warrant. He keeps dragging them through the mud, roasting their entire setup that they ignored standard protocols, and the interrogation technique itself is amateur at best. While Shan keeps running his mouth, one of the officers nervously whispers to his partner, asking how the kid knows so much. Shan cuts them off, telling them to quit stalling and bring in their superior already, someone who at least knows the rules. Right on cue, the chief steps in and the other cops get up to greet him. With a creepy smile, the man tells Shan that rules are not rigid and can be bent easily. He lays it out plain that Shan's real mistake was crossing someone with strong ties, then shoves the confession his way, saying it is better to sign now. Playing the nice guy, he even promises to get the sentence shaved down by 3 years. Suddenly, Shan bursts into laughter, calling him out as nothing but a boot kisser. He does not stop there, pointing out he is no chief, just a deputy clawing his way up, which wipes the fake grin right off his face. Shan goes in harder, roasting that sooner or later the fatso will topple, and when he does, all that blubber will splatter everywhere. The rage bait lands and the deputy snaps, throwing out insults before grabbing Shan by the collar and threatening him that he will handle him personally. Out of nowhere, the officer blurts that command headquarters is calling them. The color drains from the deputy's face instantly, while Shan leans back with a smirk. He teases the deputy that the call sounds pretty important. Watching him sweat, Shan throws one last jab, asking if the deputy plans to take that call or not. As soon as he picks up the phone, the voice on the other end orders the deputy to quickly release the boy. The deputy tries to argue they need to follow proper procedure, but then a menacing man in an army uniform barges in, looking annoyed as hell. It turns out to be a man who works for Lin Shi's father, Officer Chengshan, who openly declares he hates dumb procedures and protocols. The deputy keeps yapping that barging in like that is a breach of protocol, But the soldier is so fed up, he pulls out a 9mm and points it at the corrupt pig's giant head to demonstrate his own protocol. The deputy finally gives up and drags the man inside, while our boy sits completely unharmed. Chang Shan says it is outrageous that they would arrest someone connected to Colonel Lin without any charges, and the deputy offers lame excuses that sound as weak as him. Our boy thinks his backup arrived a little later than expected, and remembers he gave a letter to his friend to hand to the colonel in case he did not come back. He realizes he would already be in jail by now because of Tianli, and feels glad that his backup plan actually paid off. Meanwhile, Chungshan hands over the release papers and tells the deputy to fill them out quickly. As the deputy fills in the forms, he realizes the Yang family messed with the wrong people, since the Lin family is insanely rich. A boy with close connections to them is probably dangerous as well. Later in the van, the driver teases Chungshan that whipping out his gun on a civilian is a real violation. The hothead gets angry and argues that there were no bullets inside, and there is no violation if no one actually reports it. After that, he says hi to Shan and shows his thanks for saving the colonel's daughter earlier. Our boy replies that the colonel helped him out too, so they are equal now. Still, the officer gets curious and admits he wants to see for himself just how skilled he is after he heard Lin Shi praise his abilities. Feeling the officer squeeze his hand like a caveman, he realizes the man is trying to test him, and surely enough the man suddenly throws a chop at his face. Shan dodges it fast and attacks, but the officer dodges that strike too. In the end, he impresses the guy with a knee strike inside the car and locks him down. Suddenly, the driver warns them that there is a patrol team up ahead, and the two cavemen quickly separate from each other. Later, Chungshan leads him straight to his senior's office and tells his junior to grab a painkiller for him, because the high school boy really did quite a number on him. Meanwhile, our boy finally meets Lin's father, who is glad to see the young hero who saved his daughter. The man offers him a seat for tea and explains that Shan's favor was far greater than him bailing our boy out, because he owes his only daughter's life to him. Our hero coolly claims any citizen with a real heart would do the same, but the old man points out no one else has the balls to overpower someone with a knife. Then, Lin's father pulls out a top-secret file and tells him that the Yang family has been getting out of hand recently, so they need to bring them back in line quickly. The man assures him not to worry about Tianli anymore, because his daddy will not be flexing his power in public after they are finished with him. Hearing that, it suddenly hits Shan that it is around this time Tianli's father actually got arrested. 6 million of his black money suddenly vanished, and was later discovered inside the family mansion after it was demolished. That gives our boy an idea, and he grins while asking the colonel how Vice Chief Yang would react if his house suddenly got attacked by robbers. Later that night, right as the alarm buzzes at 3 in the morning, Shan wakes up and starts pulling on his clothes. Dressed head to toe in black gear, he slips past his mother who is knocked out on the couch. She mutters nonsense in her sleep that sounds like a Minecraft enchanting table, which sends a chill down our hero's back. Still half asleep, she mumbles for him to come back safe after school, and he jokingly replies that he will be back soon. At the Yang family villa, Shan notices the entire place is crawling with cameras. Hugging the wall, he thinks it makes perfect sense for a scumbag like Yang to be this paranoid. Spotting a blind zone, he checks the time on his watch before breaking into his parkour routine. In no time, he scales the wall and drops into a patch of tall grass. He recalls from his life before the regression that the news claimed the dirty money was stashed inside some decorative piece. The thought makes him wonder how massive the decoration has to be to hide that much cash. His eyes land on the fountain, and it suddenly clicks to him. As he walks up to it, he wonders why it is running this late at night. Shan freezes as he notices something under the water. Meanwhile, a sleep-deprived guard makes his round, mumbling that only a lunatic would try breaking into this place. Suddenly, he senses something is off and yells for the intruder to show themselves. Flashlight aimed forward, he sighs in relief when it turns out to be nothing but a cat. Seeing that the coast is clear, the guard shrugs and walks off. The moment his back is turned, Shan rises from inside the fountain, clutching a bag, nearly scaring the poor cat into another life. Now he understands why the cops never found it in his past life, and it feels to him that fate itself is helping him out tonight. Crouching down to inspect the goods, he realizes the bags he brought will not be enough to carry all this cash. He looks to the side and spots a conveniently placed trolley, which he then proceeds to use to haul the cash. Rolling it forward, he starts drooling over all the possibilities, eventually deciding investment sounds like the smartest play. Out of nowhere, a car zooms past him before stopping, and a wasted Tianli stumbles out while mindlessly spewing insults at Shan. Calling him a worthless pile of trash for messing with him, Tianli winds up to kick a garbage can but stops mid-swing when he realizes this is instead a trolley. His blurry eyes lock on the trolley stacked with money, and he wonders if he drank way too much. Meanwhile, Shan creeps up behind and delivers a sharp chop to his neck. With a smirk, our hero trash-talks him, telling him to check a mirror first since he is the true trash for drunk driving, and that too without a license. Sean kicks the real steaming garbage pile and remarks that his mom's mumbling from before was right. Neither father nor son is worth a single dime. Our hero then takes out a knife, but instead of ending Tianli, he decides to hand out a little gift. Lifting the class rep's head, Shan takes up the role of a barber and gives the class rep a fresh fade. Once finished, Shan rises and mutters that it was tougher work than expected. He wheels the trolley away, joking to himself that he hopes the class rep enjoys the masterpiece. The next morning, his mother bangs on his door, telling him to wake up already. She casually mentions that she is heading to the temple, which immediately catches his interest. She explains that one of her kitchen knives was covered in hair and that puddles of water were left all over the place. Sean stays silent, only for her to catch on right away and scold him for staying up the entire night. He sighs, realizing once again that nothing ever slips past a mother's senses. The next morning, the Yang family guard is taking a stroll down the street when he stumbles onto a drunk dude lying in his path. Thinking it is just bad luck, he kicks the loser and tries to wake him up, telling the bum to get out of the way because it is not his father's property. The noise wakes up Tianli, who angrily gets up at the man who dared to mess with him, making the guard's jaw instantly drop in shock at who he was rude to. Tianli asks the shouting guard to stop because his loud voice is giving him a splitting headache. When he feels his bushy hair though, he wonders what is going on, and finally sees the rest of it on the road behind him. That makes Daddy's spoiled little prince absolutely furious, and he screams that he will get the one who did that to him. He then runs straight off to his father's office building. There, he starts yelling outside for his dad to punish the person who bullied him outside the building. However, his face goes pale, and he becomes completely confused when he sees two officers escorting his father outside with his hands cuffed. The brat grabs his father and shouts at the officers to release him, unless they want their lives ruined and reputations destroyed. At that moment, an officer confirms the boy is Vice Chief Yang's son, and informs him that his father was caught doing highly illegal things during an anti-corruption agency investigation. The brat goes completely speechless when the officer tells him to stay quiet like a good boy and to cooperate with them. Then, Tianli's father tells his son to take care of himself because even Daddy will not be able to protect him anymore. That breaks the boy, who bursts into tears, and he spends that whole night crying like a toddler. The following day at school, Shan's buddy wakes him up to share the breaking news that the class rep's dad was arrested on heavy corruption charges. Seeing Shan's calm reaction, his friend asks why he does not look surprised, and our boy simply replies it is not really a big deal when someone who openly abuses power finally gets punished for it. He then tells his friend to stop annoying him because he needs to sleep more, since he was up late doing something important. That makes his friend curious what kept him up all night, and why he smells oddly like a fish pond. Bro answers that he was catching fish in the river all night, so his friend warns him to be careful, unless he wants to get arrested for illegal fishing in the river. Later, Sean remembers that before the big rewind, Vice Chief Yang's arrest triggered political chaos in the city. He realizes he made the result happen a little sooner than it should have in this timeline, and hopes the butterfly effect will not change things in a drastic way. With that thought, he wonders how to spend the 6 million, and his mind snaps back to his main goal of taking revenge against young Master Chen. However, because that amount is not even close to fighting a billionaire, he thinks of investment ideas like buying the building itself and renting apartments. That thought gives him depression though, because the only money-making idea his poor, uneducated family mindset can come up with is becoming a boring landlord. On his way home, he notices a gang of thugs beating up someone in the same alley he usually uses as a shortcut. While he decides to wait for the fight to be over, he overhears the thugs and realizes the one they are beating is actually an officer. Bro feels disappointed in the city's police, since even elites like him are getting beaten down by random thugs on the street. Just then, one of the thugs pulls out a metal pipe and smacks the man on the back of his head. The Brain-Dead Alliance then collectively watches the man hit the ground hard and wonders if he is already dead. One of them even gets the genius idea of testing that by giving another hit to his head again. But before he puts the man into sleep mode for good, our boy rushes in and lands a solid kick straight to his empty skull. Seeing that, the other gooners surround their boss and check on him to see if he is still breathing. Suddenly, the man they were beating wakes up and instantly freaks out when he sees who his savior actually is. Sean greets the officer with a smug smile and asks him if his office was so uncomfortable that he now hides out on the city streets. Officer Loser quickly rolls with the excuse that he was simply undercover, conducting a field mission to observe how the general public views the police. He pulls the jobless man off the floor and advises him to sharpen his awareness, because he is absolutely terrible at detecting danger. Impressed by his skills, the man tells him he would make a star officer. He low-key offers him the honor of serving as his personal bodyguard. Sean immediately tells the deputy director to hold his horses, and he implies he came to talk business. Since his car is parked nearby, Director Dong suggests they continue the conversation inside. Once seated in the car, Director Dong presses a cold cloth against his 8 head and starts complaining about how kids these days are too emotional. Sean narrows his eyes and asks if that was meant to be an indirect insult. Realizing he might have offended his savior, the director begins apologizing, admitting he has a bad habit of running his mouth without thinking. Setting that aside, Shan urges him to improve security in the old district. That area is crawling with problematic gangs. The director nods in agreement, but expresses concern about Officer Lin. Sean explains that Lin is simply worried about maintaining order in the district. He also adds that if the director truly wants a promotion, he needs to accomplish something meaningful. Random undercover patrols are not going to impress anyone. Unfortunately, the simple instructions fail to penetrate Director Dong's half-fried brain. So Shan moves on and mentions that he has a personal goal as well. He has a genius plan to make serious money, but for that he needs a trustworthy partner to handle the cash flow. He reveals that he has inside information that the entire old district will eventually be demolished. Hearing that, Director Eighthead nearly panics at the thought of deploying his team into the mess. Without stopping, he launches into a rant about how much money and how many connections an operation of that scale would require. Sean calmly assures him that the money will be handled. As for connections, he will build them himself. The only thing he lacks is someone within the police force to make everything official. With that, he offers the bottom-feeding officer a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a chance to earn enough money to comfortably last until retirement. Hearing that, the deputy director hesitates for a moment, clearly frustrated that he is being played by a teenager. Still, he eventually folds. Forcing a smile, he tells our boy to think of him as an uncle and to reach out anytime he needs help. On the way back, the slow director finally connects the dots and realizes it was the Lin family who leaked the information to him. The next morning at school, the boys rush to class as usual. Everyone is busy studying when, out of nowhere, a homeless-looking guy walks in. With a cloth covering his face, he suddenly drops to his knees in front of the entire class. He apologizes deeply to Shan and begs for forgiveness, apologizing for being a complete jerk. With tears and snot running down his face, he pleads for Shan to help his father. As the only one with connections to the Lin family, he promises to do anything in return if Shan can get his father released. He dramatically bends forward. The cloth slips off, revealing a shiny bald head smoother than a baby's bottom. The entire class bursts into laughter, wondering if their class president has completely lost it. Just like that, the former bully finds himself on the receiving end of the same humiliation he once handed out. Shan feels slightly offended, wondering if his haircut suggestion was really so terrible that the guy shaved everything off. Meanwhile, Tianli feels a flicker of regret for telling his dumb stylist to restore his aura at any cost. Soon enough, Shan grows tired of watching the man-child cry. He tells the fool to stop kneeling and get up. Hearing that, the class rep briefly believes he has been forgiven, but Shan quickly makes it clear that he promised nothing. In the first place, his father was arrested because he treated the law like it belonged to him. As his son, he knew better than anyone that it was wrong. Instead of embarrassing himself in front of the whole school, he should be cooperating with the police. Tianli starts crying again, but this time something inside him snaps. Walking away in anger, he declares that he has already lost everything precious to him, and he will make sure Shan experiences the same pain. Later that night, Tianli gathers a group of guys outside Shan's house. Even his lackeys hesitate. They are fine with roughing someone up or smashing a few windows, but setting a fire is straight-up arson, a crime too extreme even for them. The blonde bastard shuts down their complaints, claiming it will all be reported as an accidental fire anyway. This is his grand plan to make Shan understand what it really feels like to lose the place you call home. Just as one of them prepares to throw a Molotov, a calm voice speaks from behind, asking if he cannot sleep well when Daddy is not home. Tianli spins around in shock, only to find that his target has already dismantled his entire plan. Tianli asks in confusion how Shan even knows about his plan. Furious, he orders his lackeys to attack. The poor guys immediately remind him that they already got their cheeks clapped by him the day before. The bald bastard spins around fuming and reminds them of all the favors he has done. The first guy tells the second to go first, but the second suddenly complains about a terrible headache. Tired of watching the clowns embarrass themselves, Shan steps in and solves the dilemma. Since they cannot decide, he decides for them. He jumps down and slaps the first guy so hard that his handprint tattoos itself onto his face. The dude drops instantly, his neck twisted awkwardly to the side. The Molotov in his hand slips and cracks against the asphalt. Tianli clicks his tongue in irritation at the wasted bottle. Now he is down one man. He orders the second bodyguard to step up. One look at Shan's cold stare terrifies the guy so badly that he hands over the remaining Molotovs and bolts without looking back. Seeing that, Tianli's mood shifts again. Shan steps closer, towering over him, and asks who exactly he thinks he is staring at. Sweat pours down the class president's face as it finally sinks in that he is massively screwed. Desperate, he threatens to burn everything down and prepares to throw the bottles. But Shan moves like an assassin, grabbing his forearm before he can even twitch. The grip is crushing. Tianli's hands shake as he realizes he picked the wrong fool to mess with. Suddenly switching tones, he forces a laugh and claims it was all just a prank between classmates. Amused, Shan tells his dear classmate to do him a tiny favor. On the verge of tears, Tianli stammers and asks what that favor is. Shan answers with a ruthless uppercut, telling him to shut up before his mom wakes up from the noise. The crybaby immediately threatens to call the cops, and this time he actually does. But when the police arrive, they arrest the bald idiot for being a public nuisance in the middle of the night. Tianli stares in disbelief, wondering if the officers have potatoes for eyes, because he is obviously the victim here. He even yells at Director Dong for being ungrateful despite everything his father supposedly did for him. The deputy director replies innocently that his father may have done a lot, but he clearly never taught his son how to read the room. He adds one more piece of advice, saying, when you play with fire, you should be ready to feel the burn. With that, he thanks our hero for handling the public nuisance and even offers to celebrate a little. Shan refuses. He needs proper rest because he has serious business to handle tomorrow. The next morning, they head to the old district. The director embarrasses himself by stepping into a pothole and splashing dirty water all over his shoes. Looking around at the rundown buildings, he questions whether they can really make money from a dump like this. Shan knows from past experience that this place once produced over a dozen millionaires. To make it more convincing, he drops another piece of insider information. There is a satellite coverage plan in progress to upgrade the city's tech infrastructure. Once that happens, land prices in the old district will go up, and demolition costs will rise with them. Hearing that, the deadweight director beams with excitement, proud that his partner clearly knows what he is talking about. What he does not realize is Shan plans to use him and pocket the largest share of the demolition payout. After their inspection, they stop by a bar in the district. Shan calmly pays the elderly bartender $150,000 to purchase the place outright. Confused, the director remarks that it makes no sense to sell such a well-designed bar. The owner lets out a deep sigh and explains that his son fell deep into gambling debt. Since then, loan sharks have been sending collectors to harass them non-stop. With no other option left, he is forced to use the bar as collateral. The bartender's son turned his father's life upside down, irritating Director Dong. When Shan hears that the debt deadline falls right before the scheduled demolition, alarm bells ring in his head. He asks where the son borrowed the money from. Without hesitation, the bartender replies as if it is common knowledge. Around here, everyone borrows from Chen Jinhu, better known as Lord Hu. In Shan's eyes, Lord Hu's behavior is not normal. It feels like the man is targeting the bar itself, rather than simply chasing debt payments. That suspicion is exactly why Shan rushed to put the place up for sale. An amused grin crosses his face as he asks the director to hold off on signing the contract. Director Dong suggests they sit back and share a drink first. Shan tells Deputy Deadweight they can't afford to relax, because this Lord Hu has the same plan as them. Meanwhile, inside Lord Hu's castle, his woman asks why he is staring at some dirty old street on the monitor when they could be enjoying themselves instead. He assumes the woman will not understand, but he explains anyway that a king must always watch over his kingdom. She playfully asks if that makes her the queen. Hearing that, the dead-serious dictator bursts into laughter. Chen Jinhu has ruled over Jiangcheng City with an iron fist for the past 20 years. He is known as the King of the Night. The man is behind countless illegal businesses spread across over half the city. Because of that reach, many people secretly call him Chen Half City. On the other side, our boys arrive at the location, and Director Dong warns Shan to be extremely careful because Lord Hu is a complete psycho. He also mentions that the man has certain ties with the Chen family. The moment he hears that name, fragments of our boy's past life flash through his mind. A slow smile spreads across his face, stretching from ear to ear. Instead of fear, he feels excitement. This is the perfect chance to finally take his revenge. Noticing his reaction, the director asks if he has some kind of history with the Chen family. Shan calmly replies that he knows a thing or two about them, and agrees that Lord Hu is nothing more than a dog they keep on a leash. He confidently promises that he will defeat him. With that, he tells the director to continue the preparations and leave the rest to him. It is about time he finishes the mission he started in his former life. Meanwhile, Lord Hu receives news that the bar has been snatched away by another party. Furious, he slaps his lackey across the face without hesitation. He cannot comprehend how everything spiraled out of control and begins throwing a violent tantrum. The servants tremble in fear, but his manager quickly steps in and urges him to calm down. He hands over a photograph and explains that the opposing side includes Director Dong and a high school brat. After seeing the photo, Jinhu is confused. He cannot understand how Director Dong avoided arrest when the Yang family was taken down. He asks his manager about the identity of the student beside him. The manager replies that they have no solid information on the boy. He appears to be a complete newcomer. Lord Hu decides it is better to target the student first, since going after the director directly will be a pain. Lord Hu orders his men to finish a full investigation within 3 days. Jinhu also warns his lackey to keep a close eye on the bar at all times. If anything goes wrong again, his manhood will be on the chopping block, and he will be working a very different kind of job at his establishment. The threat alone makes the poor guy break into a cold sweat. Later that night, Shan and his best buddy go to the bar. Baldy quickly stops him and warns that stepping into Lord Hu's territory is a terrible idea. Determined, our boy asks why he is acting like such a scaredy cat and tells him to stick to the plan. He casually advises Jie to just play Genshin Impact on his phone or something to pass the time. He assures him that he will take all the risk himself. Jai still looks uneasy. So he teases Belid they can always head back home if he does not want the gaming console anymore. That immediately shuts him up. Sean tells him to wait for the signal, then walks toward the entrance alone. In his previous life, he already raided the place once, so he knows about the hidden entrance and the password. He knocks on the door, and a butler-looking man cracks it open slightly, saying they are closed and he should leave. Shan calmly says the secret password, and the door swings open at once. The man studies him carefully and asks if this is his first visit, since he does not recognize his face. To make a bombastic entry, our boy casually tosses a stack of cash into the air like it is pocket change. The waiter's attitude changes instantly. With a respectful smile, he asks what kind of experience the guest is looking for tonight. Sean tells him to show everything this bar has to offer. The waiter claps his hands, and all the hot singles in his area step forward to greet their guest. Sean is then escorted inside Lord Hu's casino where he notices a broke loser begging for money so he can place another bet after losing everything. Sean remarks that gambling is not a game of luck, and then walks over to the counter. There he buys 100,000 worth of chips, and every waiter nearby wishes him good luck. Hearing this, the boy thinks to himself that most people believe luck is the most important factor here, yet no one talks about the reality that it is actually a psychological game. While thinking about the small tricks that can make a difference, Sean takes a seat at a table where two players are already placing bets. The waiter shuffles the cards and deals them, and the MC receives an ace of hearts, a king of spades, and a queen of clubs. Sean carefully watches the fat man sitting at the table as he notices his facial muscles twitch upward, leading him to judge that the man must have received a strong hand. On the other side, the long-haired player remains completely expressionless. Sean studies him more closely and notices the unusually long nail on his pinky finger. He becomes certain that the long-haired man is using it for some purpose, likely to mark the cards. After everyone checks their hands, the waiter asks if anyone wants to raise the bet. The fat man, already convinced of his win, loudly raises it by 5,000. Shan pushes all his chips forward and declares that he is going all in. Seeing him bet everything instantly makes the fat man nervous. Even the quiet, long-haired player begins to feel uneasy, as he wonders whether this is a bluff or some kind of calculated move. Sean pretends to be clueless and raises his hand, telling the waiter that this is his first time playing and that from what he has heard, a player should bet more when the hand is really strong. The dealer smiles and lightly agrees with the idea. When the two players at the table look at Shan, they believe him and assume the newcomer is as clueless as he seems and is telling the truth, so both of them decide to fold. Shan wins the pot instantly, and when the hands are revealed before the reshuffle, the two players are left looking foolish. They realize that the boy was bluffing and had completely played them. They start arguing and demand a chance to win their money back. However, before the dealer can reshuffle the cards, Sean quietly leaves the table while taking his winnings with him. He knows that he cannot repeat the same trick twice. As he moves toward another table to win there as well, the girl in a bunny costume approaches him and tries to get him to buy her a drink. Sean brushes her off by calling her an auntie and says that he is still in school. He then asks her where he can find faster-paced games where he can win big, and soon ends up at a dice table. At the table, he listens carefully as the dealer shakes the dice, and just by judging the sound of collisions and how they land, he estimates that the numbers are 4, 5, and 6. When the dealer calls for bets, Sean once again pushes all of his chips forward and goes all in. When the result is revealed, Shan wins yet again. The waiter grinds his teeth while staring at the dice, trying to figure out if the new kid somehow has an X-ray machine fitted in his eyes. Shan then casually tells the game master to speed things up so he can win a bit more, and then head back to rest. The waiter agrees and continues the game, but his face is now covered in sweat as his anxiety keeps rising with every round. He keeps thinking about how he is going to explain this situation to his boss if the kid continues winning like this without stopping. Lord Hu, who has been watching everything through the cameras, grows angry. He mutters to himself that the boy should have known when to stop and walk away. In a short span of time, Shan stacks up several millions in winnings, and the waiter is now on the verge of tears. The gamblers nearby begin whispering among themselves, saying they are certain the waiter will be punished badly or even sold off after being castrated for life. At that moment, a woman arrives, escorted by the casino security. She calmly tells the trembling waiter that he can hand over the cup to her and leave. As Sean looks at her, he feels a strong sense of familiarity, as if he has seen her somewhere before. When the floor manager reveals her identity as Noyama Chizuru, Sean is visibly taken aback. He recalls her as one of the figures from the Golden Triangle, just as she steps forward and asks him to place his next bet. Sean then drifts back into his memories from his life before regression. On the 17th of May in Shibuya, he had his first encounter with Noyama Chizuru, which almost felt like a quiet date. The two were casually talking over drinks when Chizuru pointed out how noisy the place was. She asked Sean if he could think of any other place that carried such a lively atmosphere even at that hour besides this one. Without warning, she told him not to close his eyes, and then stepped up onto the table while gently touching his cheeks with her fingers. She commented that his eyes looked like those of a wolf and said they felt like they were piercing straight through her. She asked him to keep staring at her without looking away. The MC calmly pushed her hands aside and admitted that she was the real dangerous one here, calling her a cat instead. Chizuru leaned closer to him and insisted that she only wanted to make him happy and had no intention of digging into his secrets. By that point, she was clearly drunk and continued talking with Shan throughout the night without holding back. During that time, she revealed a trick related to dice, explaining how one could feel the breath of the dice. She explained that a person needs to sense the language of the opponent's muscles, almost like feeling their heartbeat directly. As Shan returns to the present, he recalls that idea and focuses on reading muscle movement to judge the dice. He observes that her hands are relaxed while the muscles around her neck are tense. He even studies the direction of the folds in her clothes with sharp attention, almost obsessively, as he prepares to read her next move. After rolling the dice, Chizuru asks the boy to place his bet. Shan pushes all his chips forward and states that the result is 333. Chizuru is momentarily taken aback because what she hears sounds completely impossible. She thinks the boy has gone insane, but the MC looks at her with a steady and serious gaze and tells her to open the cup. As she lifts the cup, all the gamblers around are left stunned. The floor manager begins sweating heavily as he realizes that the payout the boy is about to receive will exceed 50 million. The entire place erupts into noise because of the shocking win, and Shan quietly notes to himself that he and Chizuru have once again crossed paths in a loud and chaotic setting. Watching his casino suffer such a massive loss and nearly collapse, Lord Hu completely loses control. At that moment, one of his men bursts through the door and urgently reports that he has identified the boy. He informs Lord Hu that the one causing chaos in the casino and the student who had been buying the bar are actually the same person. Hearing this information pushes Lord Hu into even greater rage. The furious man orders his subordinates to grab their weapons and follow him down to the casino floor. He is determined to personally deal with the boy and rushes down before Shan can cash out his winnings. Shan tells the staff to hurry up while he calls his best friend Jie and informs him that it is now his turn. Just then, Lord Hu arrives and immediately rushes forward, aiming to split the boy in two, but before he can act, all the lights suddenly go out. The floor manager shouts for the lights to be restored using emergency power. As the power comes back on, the henchmen begin searching for Lord Hu until they finally find him lying on the ground with multiple broken bones. They quickly rush him to the hospital, while the MC has already escaped with all his winnings through a hidden passage. As he moves, he complains to himself about how much his hands are hurting, noting that Hu's body had been unusually tough. Just as he is about to leave and calls out for his bald friend, the bunny girl appears and asks if he has a death wish. The casino gangsters surround him and tell him to behave and hand over the money like a good boy. They add that they are willing to avoid damaging his face if he cooperates. Shan lets out a quiet sigh and remarks that he had planned everything for the night except dealing with an annoying auntie, mocking her as a rabbit who sells herself for the tiger. The MC then gets ready, positioning himself to deal with the group in front of him. He provokes them by acting a bit cocky and tells them to come at him all at once so he can save time. One of the men gets seriously irritated and steps forward alone, holding metal rods in both hands. As he jumps into attack, Shan grabs one of his arms and lands a punch on his face with just enough force to send him flying back. As the gangster crashes onto the ground, the others hesitate slightly after seeing how easily their leader was taken out. Shan glances back at them and asks if they still plan to come at him one by one. The remaining two grow nervous and decide to attack together, thinking that combining their strength might give them an advantage. Seeing them charge in together makes the MC smile as he leaps into the air and strikes one with his knee while hitting the other with his foot, taking both down before landing smoothly back on the ground. However, just before he can go after the bunny girl, she quickly runs away as if escaping is the only thing she is good at. As she disappears, Jai arrives and asks Shan if he has handled everything. Jai explains that he discovered the casino had a backup generator, so he cut off the power supply for the entire street instead. He then asks if he did well and receives praise from his friend for using all his brain cells together. The Baldy even suggests to Shan that they should leave both this part-time criminal work and school behind, and instead become full-time criminals, considering the kind of potential they are showing. While he keeps talking, the MC walks away without paying much attention to what he is saying. Meanwhile, the bunny girl reaches the casino and requests the manager for backup. Instead of helping her, he slaps her, scolds her, and even accuses her of being a thief. The injured girl insists that she is only loyal to Master Hu, but but the floor manager argues that he needs someone to take the blame and accuses her of secretly working with the newcomer to set up the casino so he could win. The girl cries out for mercy over the false accusations, but it is clear that she has no real chance of being spared. The next day, during class, Ji is dozing off while Shan sits quietly behind a stack of books, planning his next move. Shan thinks about how he cannot keep being greedy, and once the news of the demolition spreads, prices will definitely rise quickly. He considers whether this is the right time to stop now that he is already ahead. He also plans to use the large amount of money he just earned to start his own security company and hire some people to work under him. As he is thinking about the few experts who have a grudge against the Chen family, the teacher shows up right in front of him and asks him to answer the question. The MC gives a random answer about bananas, which immediately worries the teacher. He tells him that he is a lost cause, and, from the looks of it, it does not even seem like he wants to pass the college entrance exams. Shan quietly says that he was listening and that the lecture was about some bananas. The teacher gets annoyed at his answer about bananas and tells him that he has no intention of letting a loser drag down the class average, which is why he instructs him to attend remedial classes after school. Shan points at his friend and asks why he is the one being sent to remedial work when Jai has been sleeping through the entire lecture, which is even worse than not paying attention. Jai, however, answers the teacher's question correctly, while still keeping his head down. The teacher scolds Shan and says that if he can reach 4th place like Jai, then he will also allow him to sleep in class. Hearing that his friend has been secretly topping their grade, the MC gets slightly shocked. That evening after school, he shows up for remedial classes while sighing about how even these classes have attendance requirements. Just then, he hears a familiar voice from the colonel's daughter and looks over, realizing that it is actually Lin Shi. He asks her if she has gotten her remedials as well. However, it turns out that since the girl is first in their grade, she has especially requested the principal to allow her to be the tutor of the lost case Shan. She blushes as she leans in and tells him to work hard and pay attention at their class today. Grabbing his tie, Lin Shi reminds him that she came here just for him. She then pulls him closer and whispers in his ear that he should be a good boy. Our boy's brain starts malfunctioning and his face slowly turns red. She points it out and teases him that he is usually so nonchalant, but now is blushing like a little boy. Trying to change the subject, Shan reminds her that they are supposed to study, which pulls her back to reality. However, she doubles down as she pulls harder and instructs him to tell her how much force she is applying against his body weight. That leaves him flabbergasted as he says that a beginner noob cannot do physics, so they should start with maths. Lin Shi finally lets go and suggests that they should start with functions instead. While writing an equation on the board, she keeps stealing glances at him and ends up blushing too. The girl completes the equation and tells him to find the domain of the question. However, our boy does not even know what a domain is. The last time he studied was years ago, back in his previous life. Seeing his pitiful state, Lin Shi is in disbelief and walks up to him. She tells him that she will explain everything step by step, but her closeness makes Shan even more uncomfortable. The girl reassures him that she will not pull his tie again, but offers to get him a hairpin so his long hair does not block his vision. That scares our hero even more, and he quickly tells her to just start the lesson. On the inside, Shan is barely holding it together, as he has never felt this nervous, even on the battlefield, and she is clearly on another level. Sometime later, the mental torture session finally ends, and she tells him to review everything they studied once he gets home. She warns him that if he skips the books again, she will be forced to give him some special lessons. As they walk out of the building, she tries to make small talk, but he brushes it off. Finally gathering some courage, she calls his name and asks if he hates her. He quickly replies that he does not, but she presses him further, asking if there is anything more he wants to say. She then blurts out that she likes him, which makes our boy's brain short-circuit. However, she is not embarrassed at all, and repeats that she has a crush on him. That is the reason why she has been trying so hard to get his attention. She then asks if he feels any connection with her too. However, Shan looks terrified and apologizes. He tells her that the two of them are completely different, and that he does not want to ruin her life. When he walks away, she chases after him, insisting that his grades do not matter to her, but he does not turn back. Meanwhile, at an unknown location, a blonde man tells Jinhoo that he messed up badly. The macho man begs for forgiveness and makes excuses, saying that the kid was too strong. Yuchen immediately shuts him up and reminds him that he only cares about results. Jinhoo bows even lower and begs for another chance to prove himself. The young master tilts his head up with a glass in hand and agrees to forgive him. He then drops the glass, which shatters on the ground and spills red wine everywhere. Stepping closer, Yuchen warns him that if he messes up again, then that will be his head spilling on the floor. The blonde man tells him to get lost after he cleans up the mess first. He then picks up another glass and pours himself a fresh glass of wine. Saying our boy's name out loud, he finds it amusing that a nobody like him dares to stand against the Chen family. Yuchen promises to give our boy the classic Chen family special treatment. Meanwhile, two goons help Jinhoo move toward his ride. He barks orders at them, telling them to be gentle and not crease his limited edition fake Jordans. The thug keeps yapping, yelling at them to treat him like he is their daddy. However, unknown to them, the shoe in the goon's hand has a chip attached to it, allowing our boy to listen in from his room. He listens to the thugs argue with each other, but suddenly freezes when they mention the Chen family's name. He rips off his headphones and jumps up in rage, shouting that he finally found him. Sean rushes to the door, promising to finish the guy off, but stops right before stepping out. He forces himself to pause, realizing that acting on impulse will only put him in danger, and killing the guy instantly would be too merciful. Taking a deep breath, he calms down and decides that he needs a proper plan. He has already secured some money, so the next step is to gather loyal men and wipe out the enemy in one clean move. The next day at the shooting range, Shan is busy landing shot after shot. Staff officer. He compares him to another officer, saying that the kid is better. The NPC tries to brush it off, but the staff officer points toward the target. Every single shot has landed dead center on the head. Officer. He praises our boy, asking if he really is just a high school student with that kind of aim. The NPC gets jealous and starts rambling that anyone could do that with stationary targets. Our hero stares at him, then asks the staff officer if he can make a small adjustment. He tells the NPC to toss a shell casing into the air, which makes him even more irritated. The guy eventually agrees, though he is clearly fuming. As the casing flies up, Sean locks in and takes his shot instantly. The bullet strikes the casing with perfect precision, leaving both officers stunned. The NPC still tries to deny it, calling it a coincidence, but Officer He tells him to man up and accept defeat. Getting annoyed, our boy offers to shoot again while blindfolded, but the staff officer pushes the NPC aside and says he has seen enough. He asks Shan what his secret is, and our hero makes up an excuse about shooting balloons at amusement parks. The staff officer actually buys the story, which surprises him even more. Our boy then reveals that he came here to ask for a favor. Officer. He immediately agrees to whatever it is, as long as it is not something shady. Sean explains that he wants to start a security company using retired veterans. He wants to give those soldiers another opportunity in life and a sense of purpose. Those war heroes served their country with pride and should not be discarded so easily. The security force will help maintain order and deal with scum threatening the peace. Hearing this, the staff officer gets emotional and demands to know what he needs to do. Our boy says that he needs loyal and capable men, along with an easier approval process. Officer. He promises to handle the qualifications personally and gives him the contact of an old veteran squad leader who runs a station. Our boy takes the address and thanks him. The staff officer wishes him luck and tells him to come back if he needs anything. On the inside, our boy quietly thinks that Yu Chen should start counting his days, because his punishment has now begun. That night, as he stares at the piece of paper, he remembers the name Peng and realizes that it is someone from his previous life. The next day, he heads to the area in Shantytown. However, the place looks completely deserted. The layout of the town makes it hard to navigate, but he eventually manages to find the location. Entering the shop, he greets the man inside and says that he is looking for Brother Peng. The man tells him that he is not taking any new work today, so he should come back tomorrow. Sean explains that he is here on Staff Officer Chengshan's recommendation. The man stays silent as our hero pulls out the paper and says that he wants to talk. The veteran cuts him off, saying that he only fixes things now and is not interested in anything else. Sean lays out his intention, saying that he has a job that could change his current situation. He continues by pointing out that the veteran has unrecognized talent and bluntly states that he is barely getting by. That immediately ticks him off, and he asks where the hell Shan got the audacity to say that. Sean quickly tries to de-escalate the situation, explaining that he is offering loyalty in exchange for money. The veteran remains unconvinced and questions how a kid like him thinks he is even qualified to say that. He adds that if the staff officer really sent him, then he should already know that money alone is not enough to earn his respect. Sean replies that he is aware of that and says that a wild beast cannot be tamed without a whip. The veteran responds that he does not need a whip and instead picks up a pair of chopsticks. Tossing one toward our boy, he challenges him, saying that the first one to drop theirs loses. Sean hesitates for a moment, but then makes up his mind and tells him to start. The two close the distance, but Sean makes the first move by leaping into the air. He swings his chopstick downward, but the veteran blocks the strike with ease. They lock into a brief stalemate, but our hero keeps the pressure on as he follows up with a kick. Brother Peng is forced to step back, while Sean taunts him, asking how well he does when he is on the attack. Taking the bait, the man rushes in and throws a punch. Sean ducks under it and counters with another kick, knocking the chopstick out of the veteran's hand. At that exact moment, a kid walks in, calling out to his brother that he is back. The veteran yells at him to move, but the kid is too surprised to notice the chopstick flying straight toward him. In an instant, our boy dashes forward and catches it just before impact. Brother Peng rushes over to check on his brother, but the kid is completely fine and instead amazed at how fast Shan moved. He even jokes, asking his brother who would win if the two of them actually fought. The veteran stays silent for a few seconds before turning back to Shan and asking what he originally wanted to talk about. He gestures toward the counter, explaining that everything there is the medicine his brother depends on. The veteran forces out the words that he is looking to change his current situation, but that doesn't mean that he has accepted defeat. He insists that he could have caught the chopstick if his brother had not interfered. However, he decides to trust Shan after seeing him protect his brother. Our hero reassures him that they will not be doing anything shady, and explains that he wants to build a security company. He needs a group of loyal fighters who can handle the toughest situations. That team needs a leader to hold everything together, which is exactly why he wants Brother Peng to become their blade and lead them. Later, inside Brother Peng's modest room, a framed photo of the soldiers he once served with hangs on the wall. His younger self smiles brightly in the picture, full of life and energy. Shan watches it and quietly asks what changed. Brother Peng answers with a bitter smile. There is always a gap between what you hope for and what actually happens. After being worked to the bone for years, he was discarded like used tissue paper, just like all hardworking men. Not a fan of his unpleasant past, he asks his new boss to change the topic and invites him to sit and enjoy some tea. Shan tells him to keep things informal and admits he understands how much struggle Brother Peng has endured. He then asks if Brother Peng wants risking his life for scumbags to be the last thing he did. Hearing it phrased that way leaves Brother Peng stunned. Shan continues calmly. Soldiers like him should not end their lives filled with regret. They deserve better. That is why he is building a security company, a place where seasoned veterans can stand tall with dignity, take proper jobs, and earn an honest living. The company will protect ordinary people from criminals instead of serving corrupt interests. He explains that he has been searching for someone exactly like him, a veteran who has survived hell and knows how to lead a team. Deeply moved by the vision, Brother Peng agrees without hesitation. He swears complete loyalty and promises to follow whatever path Shan lays out. The two share a quiet brotherly moment, bumping fists in celebration. Shan then promises that he will also help arrange the medical treatment Brother Peng's little brother desperately needs. After telling Brother Peng to wait until he reaches out again, Shan takes his leave. On the way home, he passes a few kids playing in the street. A few steps later, he casually glances back and notices a shady figure watching him from around the corner. He feels mildly insulted that Chen Jinhu would hire someone that sloppy to spy on him. Annoyed, he calls out for the failed spy working for that evil thug to show themselves. To his surprise, the spy turns out to be Lin Shi, who feels genuinely hurt by his harsh tone. Confused, he asks why she of all people is stalking him. Lin Shi laughs and says stalking is a bit dramatic. He sighs and turns away, telling her to stop wandering into dangerous places. She immediately repeats his words back at him, reminding him that he should not be skipping tutoring and loitering around either. Her cheeks turn pink as she admits that his bad habits worry her. Irritated, Shan reminds her that he already made it crystal clear he is dealing with dangerous people, and she should stay away. Lin Shi smugly questions just how dangerous it could really be. Right on cue, a jeep barrels down the road toward them at full speed. She freezes for a second, confused about why it is accelerating like that. Shan yells at her to move out of the way. Instead, the bird brain jumps straight at him in the middle of the road. She unironically does it just so she can push him to safety like a hero. Then she slips and crashes onto the cold asphalt. Shan quickly asks if she is hurt. Brushing it off, she insists she only did it to make the point that danger does not scare her. Now that's some real dedication there, fellas. The jeep screeches to a stop. A gang of hoodpunks steps out armed with katanas, furious that he has the nerve to show up on their turf on a date after disrespecting their boss. Shan immediately shifts into a fighting stance and tells Lin Shi to close her eyes. Meanwhile, the girl is distracted, stunned that the gang thinks they are dating. The thugs charge at him all at once. It only takes a few sharp jabs and kicks to knock them aside. Suddenly, Lin Shi screams a warning. One of the men lunges from behind with a sword. Shan braces himself, knowing he cannot dodge in time. A perfectly timed gunshot rings out. The bullet strikes the blade, knocking it clean from the attacker's hand. The thug stares in disbelief at his trembling fingers, and the bullet lodged in his sword. From the rooftop of a nearby building, a cold voice warns them that the next shot will not miss if they dare lay a hand on their young lady. While Lin Shi is being treated in the hospital, our boy waits anxiously outside the room. Anger burns in his chest after learning that the Chen family tried to harm her. He silently swears that he will make them pay for it. Suddenly, a nurse steps out and asks if any family members of the patient are present. He quickly asks how Lin Shi is doing. The nurse reassures him that there is nothing serious to worry about, but they still need to keep her under observation for a night. She then asks if he is a family member, explaining that someone needs to sign a few documents. Regretfully, he answers that he is only her classmate, so he can't help. At that moment, the colonel arrives and states firmly that he is a family member. Shan immediately tries to apologize, but the man does not even pause to listen. He walks straight into the room. Inside, Lin Si attempts to convince her father that everything was just an accident. She insists that Shan did everything he could to protect her. Hearing this, the colonel gradually calms down. He softly complains that she worries him far too much, especially after becoming so mature and responsible. After that, she asks about the mysterious men who stepped in to protect her. She wonders if they belong to his unit, but her father simply tells her that the only thing she needs to know is that they are part of the family. She looks confused and asks what he means by the family, but he gently tells her not to trouble her pretty little head for now. The entire time, our boy stands outside the room, quietly eavesdropping on their conversation. Turns out the rumors about the Lin family and their powerful connections are definitely real. As the colonel turns to leave, he hears Lin Shi cheerfully telling her father goodbye. When the colonel steps out of the room, Shan repeats his apology once more. He admits that he already put her in danger once, and he refuses to make the same mistake again. The colonel coldly replies that words alone mean nothing. Overwhelmed with guilt, our hero sincerely blames himself for everything that happened. It is his fault she got hurt, and he says he is truly sorry. Grabbing his shoulder firmly, the colonel tells him that if he truly wants to apologize, then he should take revenge on the bastards responsible for all of this. Hearing that, Shan says he will definitely teach them a proper lesson. The colonel replies that he believes him, but he only has one daughter. He cannot afford to let something like this happen again and again. After that, the colonel tells him his parents must be worried about him, so he should head home. Later that night, he listens to a conversation between a lackey and Yu Chen. The lackey reports that they have already given the boy a warning, but in the process, the Lin family's young lady suffered some minor injuries. Yu Chen remarks that it is nothing to worry about. It's a good way for him to finally observe how the colonel reacts. Moving on, his lackey assesses that Shan is just an insect they can crush anytime they want. Hearing this, my guy is annoyed that the bastards talk big after he gave them a whooping. After that, Yu Chen suddenly reveals that the demolition project is only a cover. Once his network is completed, all the business will belong to the Chen dynasty. He emphasizes that those buildings are crucial to the entire plan, so they have to secure them using any method necessary. Our sergeant realizes he has finally discovered the enemy's weak point. Yu Chen orders his men to remain cautious until the goods arrive, and after that they can act however they please. Shan understands that he needs to speed up and strengthen his forces before those goods reach the city. The next day, Brother Peng arrives along with all the veterans listed in Chen Shan's file. Our hero introduces himself and welcomes them to his humble company, Dragon Shield Securities. Immediately, the men assume he is busting their chops and start throwing questions at him. He calmly tells them to relax and gestures toward the obstacle course. One of the veterans brags that he got first place on a similar course during his time in the army. Clearly irritated, the man asks if Shan is doubting their abilities. Shan replies that it is nothing like that and proceeds to explain their mission. Their job is to defeat enemies while staying within legal boundaries, and the client's safety will always be the top priority. With that said, he decides to personally demonstrate the training and asks Brother Peng to time him. Shan completes the entire course in 58 seconds, finishing by shooting the target cleanly, like it is nothing. The veterans are left staring in disbelief. One of them cannot help but ask how he pulled that off, since he looks no different from a skinny high school student. Our sergeant calmly tells them they are absolutely right. He really is just a high school student. Then he lightly taunts them, saying that means they need to be faster than a high school student. Otherwise, that would be pretty pathetic. It would be seriously embarrassing if they turned out to be a bunch of old men who cannot even protect themselves, let alone a client. Fired up by his mocking tone, the veterans instantly get pumped and declare that they will show him what a real soldier is capable of. Without wasting another second, they jump straight into training. At last, his ultimate team has finally been assembled, and he plans to use it to crush his destined enemy along with his filthy business. The next morning, Shan heads back to the old district. He rings the doorbell of a worn-down house, and a chubby elderly woman steps out, squinting at them suspiciously. She asks what they want. The boys politely introduce themselves as a new security team operating in the area. They explain that they are checking whether residents need help with anything, whether it is loan sharks demanding protection fees or petty crimes like theft. Next, Shan looks directly into her eyes and calmly asks if anyone has recently gone missing. The woman's expression changes instantly. Panic flashes across her face. She hurriedly claims everything is perfectly fine and slams the door shut. After that, almost everyone they approach either refuses to talk or awkwardly changes the topic the moment missing persons are mentioned. Their previously friendly tones stiffen, and fear becomes obvious in their eyes. During lunch break, Officer He sighs and says, there is no point investigating if the residents are this terrified of whoever is behind it all. He asks Shan what the real goal of these questions is. Shan casually takes a bite of his melon bread and replies that his target is the Chen family. Officer He nearly chokes, asking if he is serious. The Chens who practically control the entire district. Shan cuts him off and continues. Director Dong passed along some information from the police. 7 or 8 people have officially been reported missing in this area alone, and those are only the cases that were actually filed. The department has sent skilled officers to investigate, but every lead vanishes without a trace. The only group capable of running something this clean and professional is the darker branch of the Chen family. Just as Officer He warns him that he is playing with fire, that very fire walks up to them. One of the locals they questioned has already tipped off Scar, the thug who manages this block. Sean expected that. It would be strange for a large organization not to have informants everywhere. Scar approaches with a sneer, accusing them of having serious guts to poke their noses into his territory without permission. Officer. He steps forward to defend Shan, but Shan places a hand on the veteran's shoulder, signaling him to stay back. He decides to handle the gangster with the ridiculous haircut himself. With a smug expression, Sean questions whether Scar truly deserves to call himself a boss if he gets this worked up over him chatting up some neighbors. His smug attitude instantly ticks Scar off. Furious, the boss orders his right-hand man, Big Mac, to crush the ignorant fools. Big Mac unleashes his ultimate move, Human Bowling Ball, charging forward to steamroll the enemy. However, Officer He casually grabs the bowling ball before it even starts rolling, visibly disappointed by the lame name of the attack. Without mercy, he slams Big Mac into the floor, sending the ball straight into the gutter. Seeing that, Scar feels a chill run down his spine, but still sends 2 guys at once to overwhelm him. In the meantime, he declares that he will personally humble the cocky high schooler. Scar's underling gets yelled at when he dares to question why his boss is leaving the big guy to them, obviously taking the weak one for himself. Offended by the insult, our boy invites the guy to take a shot at him if he really looks that weak. It would be a real shame for his street career if he loses a fight against a high schooler. That provocation successfully rage baits Scar, who gets pumped up and charges in, ready to drop him. However, the one who eats a painful punch to the face and gets dropped first is the boss himself. Seeing their leader go flying after that knuckle sandwich, the rest of them freeze in shock. After that, Shan gives the underlings some solid advice. He never planned on causing a scene, and it is not like they have what it takes to win anyway, so it is best they drag the losers back to wherever they crawled out from. Watching their targets walk away right in front of them, Officer He questions why he is letting them go. Sean uses the analogy of fishing, saying you should not reel the fish in too aggressively. Sometimes you let them swim a little longer. They quietly follow Scar's lackeys back to their hideout after that. After all of Scar's men leave, the man pauses with an intense look on his face. He checks that no one is around, then turns in the opposite direction from his house. Slowly, he makes his way to the back of a warehouse where a black car is parked. The driver steps out and opens the trunk. Peeking from behind a wall, the boys immediately realize there is definitely something illegal inside. A large sack tumbles out of the trunk, and something inside it struggles and shifts violently. Scar shouts at the wriggling, screaming sack, ordering it to calm down and behave. Only then do our boys realize there is actually a real person stuffed inside, and they are watching a kidnapping unfold right before them. Officer. He is about to lose his temper and rush in immediately, but he stops when he notices the scums attempting to escape. The enraged man turns to our hero for guidance. He suggests they either watch, trail them, or call the police on the 2 thugs. Right on cue, Shan rises from his hiding spot, boldly announcing that he is with the police. He commands Scar and his partner to freeze where they stand. Our hero's partner is stunned by how things turn out, but chooses to go along with the act. Scar and his buddy are shocked that the police managed to track them down, but quickly see through the lie when Scar recognizes Shan and his lackey. His partner draws a concealed knife, ready to defend himself. Scar insists that they are merely security guards. The 2 begin arguing about whether they should teach the intruders a lesson, Scar doing his best to warn his partner that these men are not ordinary guards. They are professional fighters. Sean wastes no time and rushes straight at the 2 fools who argue with each other. Scar's friend lunges forward and tries to stab our hero, but the strike gets parried with ease and he takes a hard punch instead, while his buddy's warning falls on deaf ears. The poor guy flies back and crashes into the wall like a rag doll, which makes Scar question every choice he makes in life. The thug yells at his stunned partner that he warned him, but stops mid-sentence when Officer He steps in and draws his focus. The tall giant towers over the shaken bad guy and asks why he tries to run from them. With clear disappointment, Officer He reminds Scar of their code, which says that all good and bad must be shared together. Scar tries to argue that they already share a hard time earlier that same day. In need of any reason to beat up the thugs, our boys conveniently forget the earlier encounter. They deal with the criminals in no time and move to free the person inside the sack. To their shock, it is Yang Tianli. His former class rep, tied up and gagged, looks at his confused rescuers with teary eyes. Back at the police station in the interrogation room, Sean and his partner meet Director Dong to hand over the blondie and talk about this shocking twist. The director explains the poor blondie's tragic situation. His father goes to trial, his house gets seized, and on top of that, he gets expelled from school as well. The boy has no choice but to give up his life of luxury and ends up homeless, which is one brutal downgrade. As if that slap from fate is not enough, he almost gets kidnapped by those bargain bin thugs too. Dong and the others pity his bad luck, but our MC cuts in and asks about the situation with Scar and his crew. The director lowers his voice and says the interrogation is over, but the men have little connection to the Chen family and only take paid gigs. Our hero asks what kind of gigs they take, and the deputy explains that they move illegal goods to the warehouse district. Real classy side hustle. A light bulb flashes in our MC's head when he hears that the warehouse district belongs to the elusive Chen family he hunts. The director lets out a tired sigh and says the business they show on the surface is clean, and they lack solid proof to approve a search. The two step into the director's office for privacy, where a map of the area waits on the desk. Shan notices that the Yongfeng warehouse links to the old city district through an abandoned railway line. The pieces finally fall into place inside his head. He figures the Chen family uses the chaos from demolition as cover to build this shady route and move their goods without heat. Shan tries to persuade the deputy to use the problems in the warehouse district as a reason to inspect the place. The old man starts to sweat and attempts to scare our hero, claiming some mysterious higher-up shields the Chen family from trouble. How convenient. Our hero sees straight through the bluff and decides to flip the lie back on him. He lets the man know he profits well from the old city demolition projects and proposes a deal. As long as the Chen family stays out of his way, he can keep stuffing his pockets with more projects. Shan adds that if they want to split the rewards from those deals, they first need to bring down the Chen family. Director Dong falls silent with a tense expression. Shan tells him a director like him should not shrink before little bugs like this. The old man suddenly raises his voice and declares he will not allow this injustice to stand. Not for himself, but for the sake of the many poor people who suffer without answers. He boldly states that he will bear the pressure from the higher-ups if that is what it takes for the plan to move forward. A faint smile forms on our hero's face, who calmly says this is exactly the answer he hopes to hear. Shan extends his hand toward the director and asks for the official document that grants assistance in the police investigation of the warehouse district. Director Dong blinks at the sudden request, but he agrees without giving it much thought. He reminds him to stay cautious, since the Chen family does not deal kindly with troublemakers. Our hero gives a confident smirk and replies that he is not easy to deal with either. The scene shifts to a rundown warehouse far from the city, where Shan and his three-man squad watch from a concealed spot nearby. The team studies the area, and Shan notes that cameras cover nearly every corner, while guards patrol the grounds without pause. For a moment, no one sees a clear way inside this fortress of a warehouse, but he quietly pulls out a full map of the complex and lays it before them. He points to a blind spot where a tall tree stretches over one of the cameras. Next, he assigns two men to slip in from that angle and disable the backup power and surveillance. The pair head off in the opposite direction. Meanwhile, Shan and Officer He move toward the sewer line to begin their own entry. At the sewer entrance, he cuts through the bars and chains with bolt cutters in a few snaps. The two slip inside and enter the facility through a manhole cover. From there, they spot two guards who slack on duty and chat about the blind spot Shan found earlier. Our heroes waste no time and knock the two clueless fools out cold. They move deeper into the facility and soon uncover a grim truth. In a dark and filthy lab, rows of cages line the walls, each one holding a weak prisoner. Many unhinged scientists are walking around and carrying out cruel tests on the helpless victims without pause. Our heroes struggle to hold back their anger at the sight, and Shan quickly recognizes the setup as something called matching. His partner looks confused and asks what that means, so our boy explains in simple terms there is illegal organ trade happening right in front of them. Officer. He wants to charge in at once and free the captives, but our hero stops him and takes out his phone. He records everything first, so they have solid proof to hand over later. After he finishes, he nods to Officer He. With that, the two burst through the door, stunning all the mad scientists inside. A gang of goons appear from nowhere and start escorting the scientists away, but Officer He pushes forward to secure the files. Meanwhile, our hero fights the thugs and shields the prisoners. His partner reaches for the papers in the hands of the cruel workers, but he fails to grab them. At the same time, the guards circle the two intruders and try to pin them down. To make things worse, a scientist feeds stacks of documents into a shredder right before Officer He's eyes. Things get worse as more thugs pour in and block every path, turning the place into a sealed trap. All Shan thinks about is the evidence and how to secure it before it vanishes. He makes another move toward the files, but stops when the captives cry out and beg him to free them first. Under the weight of their pleas, he changes plans. He orders his partner to forget the papers and focus on saving the prisoners. A fierce light ignites in our MC's eyes as he throws another solid punch and declares every single prisoner will leave the lab alive. The next day, inside the police department archives room, Shan informs the director that all the hostages have been rescued, and he will leave everything else to him. Then he shows the director the evidence, which includes all the records about the imprisonment. It also mentions details of the medical operations. After he takes a careful look at the evidence, Director Dong tells our boy that he discovered something huge. This time the Chen family will not leave him alone quietly. Our boy mocks him and says he sounds like a scared little cat already. The director gets angry and yells back at him. He asks why he would step back now when things have finally become interesting. The bullet is already loaded in the gun and it must be fired. In the end, though, everything depends on this one decisive move. The following day, a random guy asks the newspaper seller for a paper and inquires what all the loud fuss is about. The seller tells him that his missing son has finally returned home safe. The guy says he does hear about the rising number of kidnappings and asks what really happened behind the scenes. The shopkeeper tells him to just read the bold headline. After reading it, the man stands shocked and wonders how something like this even happens in broad daylight. Meanwhile, Director Dong attends a press conference and tells the reporters that he has officially formed a special task force that reports directly to him alone. He assures them that they will carry out a detailed investigation of the company and all the people connected to this case. One reporter asks what he plans to do if the Chen family is truly involved in it. With a firm grin, he says he will definitely bring justice to the gang behind all this mess. The scene shifts to the Chen family estate, where Lord Jinhu lies on the cold floor, badly beaten by his own nephew. Yuchen stands over him and assures his uncle that he will take care of everything from here on. He sarcastically says his uncle is an amazing watchdog who can only watch and do nothing worthwhile. The warehouse got raided in his presence, and even the entertainment city slips right out of their hands. After that, the young master asks Jinhu if he truly understands how big a loss they suffered, all because someone manages to plant a microphone on him. His uncle quickly replies that this will never happen again. He begs for another chance with a shaky voice. Irritated, Chen says he must have grown a bit too soft after working with him for so long. The young master then tells him to join him for a quiet walk by the river. He orders his men to clean up Lord Hu and change the carpet, since it looks far too dirty now for His Highness. In truth, the Chen family's young master already planned to erase Jinhu from the start. His men carry out the order without any delay, and they dump the body into the river like it means nothing. A subordinate soon reports that everything is finished cleanly. Yuchen tells his men to disperse and orders the driver to head back. During the drive, his assistant shows him a video taken from the warehouse security cameras. When Yuchen sees our boy's face on the screen, he immediately recognizes him and asks his assistant for his name. His assistant tells him he goes by Shan. The young master replies that it is a rather bold name for someone like that. The assistant explains that their sources say he runs a security company under his own name, and he also has ties with the police. He continues that the warehouse raid is carried out by a security company, the same company under Shan's command. After hearing all of this, Chen suddenly bursts into laughter like a psycho who finds this challenge a little too entertaining. He admits he first thought his enemy was just some random nobody, but it seems they walked straight into his trap without even realizing it. Now it does not matter if Shan acts alone or if someone is pulling the strings behind him. For daring to offend the Chen family, he will have to pay a very heavy price. Fast forward a few hours later, Chen is back in his mansion. He dials a number and tells the person on the other end to hire the best cleaner available. He orders him to get rid of our boy as soon as possible. However, the man on the phone suddenly snaps, and it turns out to be his grand uncle, who starts lecturing him for causing such a mess. The old man tells him that he has deeply disappointed the family and dragged them into unnecessary trouble. Because of this, they have decided to lower his succession rank and cut his assets in half. Yuchen tries to argue, but his grand-uncle shuts him down and warns him to stay quiet for now and kneel at the ancestral hall. As the call abruptly ends, the blonde stares at his phone, wondering what just happened. He throws it to the ground and starts ranting, claiming that the family treats him like a dog. Yuchen then bursts into manic laughter and decides to pin all the blame for his situation on Shan. Coming back to our boy, he is standing in line for demolition compensation funds. The old man behind him asks if he is here for the payout too and wonders how many units he owns. Shan casually raises 3 fingers, which leaves the geezer shocked that he has 3 units. Our boy starts to explain, but then stops himself, realizing the old man might pass out if he finds out it is actually 3 buildings. Finally, it is his turn. The staff at the counter tells him to read the document and sign it. Once everything is completed, Shan reassures himself that all his hard work will pay off. Over the next few days, his company officially takes shape, and the veterans begin their training. Throughout all of this, the only time he gets to relax is when he is at school. The next day, Lin Shi walks up to him and expresses her surprise that he ranked at the top in the midterms, saying he must have worked really hard. Completely oblivious, Shan replies that he did not study at all and simply relied on his intellect. That instantly annoys her, and she tries to kick his leg while shouting that he should be praising her tutoring instead. She grabs his tie again and teases him, saying that he always gets nervous around girls. A crowd quickly gathers as the male students grow jealous of how casually Shan is interacting with the school's idol. Just then, a guy pushes through the crowd and calls out to him. He states that Shan's previous misconduct can no longer be ignored. The guy continues, saying that after discussing the matter with the disciplinary committee, they have decided to issue him a warning letter. Lin Shi immediately steps in and argues that Shan's situation is special. Chairman Zhou reminds her that all special cases must be reported to the student council, and there are no exceptions. Our hero tells Lin Shi to calm down and asks what exactly this is about. The chairman instructs him to publicly admit his mistakes during Monday's assembly. The students in the back start whispering, wondering if the student council even has the authority to hand out punishments like this. Sean stands his ground and asks what will happen if he refuses. Joe's expression turns cold as he says that the student council will recommend stricter action to the academic office, which could even result in detention. Our boy quickly realizes that this is all just a setup and that the guy clearly has ulterior motives. Lin Shi calls him out, saying that this is going too far, but the arrogant chairman simply smirks and asks if Sean is going to be a good boy and comply. Our boy fires back, asking if they have any official approval from the principal or the academic office to enforce this. One of the chairman's lackeys quickly claims they do not need it because the student council has the authority to issue punishments. However, Shan shuts that down, pointing out that this is nothing more than their own decision. Stepping closer, he looks the chairman in the eye and asks if he ever considered that there are some people you simply should not mess with, no matter what. Joe straight up asks if he is threatening him. At that moment, Lin Shi steps in and tries to defuse the situation. She tells our boy to head home for now, otherwise her dad will start to worry. The two walk off, leaving the chairman absolutely fuming. He tells himself that he will get revenge no matter what. Heading to the academic office, he starts complaining to Director Wang that students these days are completely disrespectful. He goes on about how Shan repeatedly skips classes, shows no discipline, and even challenged the student council. According to him, this level of disrespect should not be tolerated at all. To his surprise, the director simply sighs and sets his coffee mug down. He tells Joe that he needs to understand the full situation before making any decisions. The student council chairman stays firm, insisting that the evidence is clear as day. However, the director explains that special cases like this require a more careful approach. That immediately irritates Joe, who asks what could possibly be so special about that scrawny guy. The director then lays it out plainly, saying that the principal and even the school board have personally put in a word in for Shan. That completely catches Joe off guard. The director continues, asking if the student really thinks he is at the top of the food chain. That is far from the truth, as there are people above him he cannot afford to offend. Hearing this, Joe grows even more frustrated, unable to believe that someone like Sean has such powerful backing. The director stands up and gives him a piece of advice, telling him not to get on Sean's bad side. He warns him that the Yang family once thought they were untouchable too, and look how that turned out. Joe fails to take the hint and keeps pushing, but Director Wang cuts him off and tells him to calm down. Realizing he is getting nowhere, Joe storms out, telling himself that if he does not punish Sean now, the guy will only grow more arrogant. Meanwhile, the director sighs again, commenting that the younger generation really needs to be more understanding. Sometime later, the student council chairman heads to a local bar to drink away his frustration. The girls there try to cheer him up, telling him to relax. One of the girls gets a bit bold and suggests that he forget everything and just enjoy himself. However, at that moment, Zhao snaps, pushing her away and berating her for acting so familiarly toward him. He then yells our boy's name at the top of his lungs. At that moment, Yu Chen speaks up, stating that he must really hate Sean for acting like this. Joe turns around and demands to know who is laughing at him. The blondie ignores the question and instead mentions that they share a common enemy. Putting the pieces together, the student council chairman asks what kind of beef Yu Chen has against Sean. The guy avoids answering directly and instead asks if Joe is interested in putting that arrogant brat in his place. The chairman admits that Sean has strong connections, so dealing with him will not be easy. However, Chen reassures him that he has a plan and suggests they discuss it in detail. The next day, Sean is sleeping in class as usual while the baldy tries to wake him up. Just then, the teacher walks in and tells the class to settle down. Standing beside a new student, he announces that they have a transfer student joining them today. The familiar face does not bother hiding his identity and introduces himself as Yu Chen. Hearing that cursed name, Shan instantly gets alert and looks toward the front. Even though the guy has changed his appearance, our boy can still recognize the same sinister look in his eyes. He starts wondering what the hell Yu Chen is doing here. Meanwhile, the teacher looks around, trying to decide where to seat the new student. By coincidence, he spots an empty seat at the back of the class, right next to Shan. Yu Chen smiles and walks over to our boy and tells him to take good care of him from now on. The scene then shifts to Chen's mansion. Hearing some weird laughing sounds, the bodyguards rush into his room and ask if everything is all right. He tells the two of them to get lost and not to disturb him while he does his homework. In reality, he is making a flowchart on how to take down Shan once and for all while making him suffer. He tells himself that he will first put on a fake face and get friendly with him. After that, he will figure out all his weak points and endlessly torture him till he loses his mind. He starts monologuing to himself about his revenge, while the guards in the back wonder if their young master has finally lost it. The next day at school, the students are at the track course as they prepare for long-distance running. The blondie recalls that Sean has a really strong connection with justice, so this is the perfect setup for initiating his plan. The students get ready at the starting line, and as soon as the teacher gives the signal, they run off with our hero in the lead. Running beside him, Yu-Chen pretends to slip and dramatically calls out that he is going to fall. However, our boy completely ignores him like your ex and keeps on running. The blondie is left confused as to why his foolproof plan failed. He starts fuming, wondering if Sean didn't notice him despite calling out to him. At that moment, the sports teacher suddenly appears and puts a hand on his shoulder. The teacher tells Chen that he needs to be taken to the infirmary right away. However, the guy tries to decline. The teacher remains persistent, stating that Chen must have injured himself since he fell so dramatically. Ignoring his protests, the teacher picks him up and carries him away while he throws a tantrum. The man reassures Chen that he was a pro weightlifter in his early days and tells one of his students to take over for now. Watching the new kid get carried away like a princess, Baldy wonders if the guy is special in the head or something. Even Sean is confused whether Yu-Chen is actually this clumsy or if he is deliberately trying to get him to lower his guard. The next day, during a chemistry lecture, the teacher instructs the students to form groups to study. Yu-Chen thinks this is the perfect chance and walks up to Shan, who is busy sharing a brain cell with Baldy. The blonde then calls out to him and asks if he can help him understand what the teacher explained. Jai stops him right there and states that our hero has already formed a group with him. Chen tries to reason with him, but Baldy then announces that the number one leech to Shan is none other than him. Yu-Chen is flabbergasted by the response and wonders how someone can be so proud about sucking up to someone else. Deciding this isn't worth it, he apologizes, and the two go back to their experiments. Baldy even throws shade that if the new guy trips on flat ground, then he will easily break the ammonia bottles. That catches Blondie by surprise as he stops himself from shouting that it was his strategy. Getting more enraged by the second, Yu-Chen then makes a mental note and adds Jai to his hit list too. On the way back from school, Lin Shi tags along with Sean and keeps on yapping about random stuff. However, our hero is lost in thought, wondering what the hell Yu-Chen is planning by trying to get friendly with him. Because of that, he cannot let his guard down. Just then, strange voices coming from the side make the two stop in their tracks. Lin Shi wonders if there is a fight, but Sean decides to walk away, not wanting to get involved. Two thugs are shaking down Yu-Chen and demanding that he pay a tax for passing through their territory. Having taken drama lessons from Timu, he claims that he is a broke noob and yells for someone to save him. Lin Shi asks Sean if he is really not going to do anything, but our hero is more focused on food, and mentions that a stall is selling grilled sausages ahead. Yu-Chen starts panicking, wondering if our hero really didn't see any of that. Dropping out of the act, he grabs the thug by his collar and orders him to throw a full-force punch. The thug gets scared, not even daring to think about doing that, but the blonde then threatens to chop his fingers off. Seeing no other option, the thug apologizes in advance and throws a heavy punch. Yu-Chen flies backwards from the impact but smiles as he silently eggs Shan to look this way. The punch lands so hard it knocks out one of his teeth, which turns out more fragile than his ego. Even then, the psycho orders his lackeys to keep beating him. They are not allowed to stop until the black-haired guy shows up to save him. The thugs hesitate, but he threatens to rip their teeth out with his bare hands if they disobey. That is enough to make them go pale and do what they are told. He starts screaming in pain so loudly that even Lin Shi feels uncomfortable listening to it. Her sense of justice kicks in. Turning around, she declares that she cannot just stand by and watch a classmate get bullied like this. She marches straight toward the hoodlums who are beating Yu-Chen up and tells them to stop, as if that alone will make them reflect on their life choices. The guys click their tongues, annoyed that it is not the black-haired target they were waiting for. Trying to stay polite, at least by thug standards, they tell her to leave quietly since this has nothing to do with her. Lin Shi refuses. She insists it absolutely is her business. As a fellow student, it is her duty to protect her classmates. Wonder Woman over here plants herself in front of Yu-Chen, shielding him from his own hired goons. The purple-haired guy tells her to be a good girl and scram. He warns she might get hurt because he does not know how to go easy on girls. That only backfires. Lin Shi stands her ground even more, saying she does not negotiate with scumbags. Giving in would only make them more self-confident in the future. Purple Hair is annoyed she called them scumbags. They argue that they are just poor students trying to earn some money. Lin Shi shoots back that if beating up classmates is their best career option, they need to get a life. Fed up with the girl lecturing them, the second guy swings a punch. Lin Shi flinches but stands her ground, ready to take it head on. Right before it connects, Shan saves her in the nick of time. Lin Shi instantly lights up on seeing him. Meanwhile, Yu-Chen hides a satisfied grin, delighted that his brilliant little plan is finally unfolding perfectly. Shan steps forward and calmly tells the hoodlums to crawl back to wherever they came from. After the thugs scatter, Shan immediately checks if Lin Shi got hurt and scolds her for being recklessly brave. He asks her not to pull something that stupid again. Yu-Chen suddenly cuts in as he expresses deep gratitude for being saved. He puts on a flawless act, claiming he is just a poor transfer student who became an easy target because he has no friends yet. The performance is so convincing that it successfully touches Lin Shi's heart. Without hesitation, she tells him to come to her anytime if he gets bullied again. With a warm smile, Shan also tells him he can reach out whenever he wants, since they are classmates after all. On the inside, however, he is burning at the thought of this creep trying to get close to his girl. Yuchen happily shakes his hand. Beneath those polite smiles, two separate flames of revenge quietly rage, each waiting for the right moment to explode. In the coming days, Yuchen gradually inserts himself into Shan's circle. He does nothing openly suspicious, but Shan refuses to lower his guard for even a second. One morning, the blonde guy casually suggests they grab drinks after school. His overly friendly behavior makes Jai think he is trying to steal his position as Shan's right-hand man. Yuchen gets yelled at, but he swallows his pride and keeps pushing forward, determined to get closer no matter the cost. After school, he even waits for Jai outside his house. Baldy is stunned to see this pest crossing every possible boundary by tracking him home. When he demands to know why he is standing at his front door, Yuchen explains that he hasn't been bullied since he started hanging around him and Shan. As a thank you gift, he hands over a brand new PS5 Deluxe. The struggling student has never seen something that expensive up close before. For a brief moment, his hate for the pest disappears. Throwing an arm around Jai's shoulder, Yuchen casually asks how close he really is with Shan. Jai proudly shares they are closer than most brothers. Yuchen then asks, almost innocently, what Shan likes to do in his free time. Without thinking much, Jai reveals that Shan mostly trains and manages his security company. At that moment, he realizes how suspicious this line of questioning sounds. The guy practically radiates a shady aura. Yuchen laughs it off and claims he is simply curious because he wants to learn how to run a side hustle himself. Later, my guy is completely gobsmacked when his buddy shows off a brand new console. He flat out refuses to believe Jai got it legally and accuses him of stealing his dad's credit card again. Concerned, he asks if getting his bumper scarred for life last time did not teach him anything. Jai starts sweating just remembering that beatdown. He admits that even his bottom of steel does not have the durability to survive another round of belt lashings. Then with pride, he declares that he got the console completely free. He copies the way Yuchen practically begged him for details about Shan's investments in exchange for the gift. With dollar signs flashing in his eyes, the idiot shamelessly admits he sold out. Even then, he insists he knows it looks suspicious that Yuchen suddenly wants to learn about his business. Apparently, the guy claimed he wants to study how to hustle. Jai follows the bro code and tells him he would never leak anything important. Hearing that, Shan's faith in his friend is half restored. Jai shamelessly brags that he is basically the king of draining people dry. He adds that the young master invited him to a special spot near the river to drop the info. Shan casually asks what time they were supposed to meet. Jai grinds the gears in his smooth brain and mentions it was about 2 hours ago. Bro calmly admits he never planned on showing up anyway. Laughing, the savage says Yuchen is way too annoying to deal with, so he decided to ditch him. Hearing that, our boy hopes the guy does not wait too long and gets sick. The weather has been freezing lately. Speaking of freezing, Yuchen is currently sneezing nonstop by the riverside. Shivering from head to toe, he wonders why his informant is so late. Concerned, his bodyguard steps out from the bushes and quickly wraps a coat around him to keep him warm. The ungrateful blonde immediately snaps at him. He reminds the man that he is supposed to be a bodyguard, not a babysitter hovering around him like a helicopter. If Jai saw this, the entire plan would fall apart. However, the bodyguard refuses to move, firmly insisting that his health matters more. Besides, it really looks like the bald kid stood him up. However, he refuses to admit that a poor loser with an IQ lower than his hair count would dare not show up. There is no way Jai's tongue would not loosen a little after getting his dream console, so he keeps waiting by the river, stubbornly toughing it out until midnight. The next morning, he grabs Jai by the collar and angrily demands to know why he never came. Baldy plays dumb, acting confused about where he was even supposed to go. He shamelessly pretends he does not remember agreeing to any meeting. That only makes Yuchen angrier. Jai casually adds that it makes zero sense why he would agree to some late-night date with another guy. That comment irritates the young master so badly he almost smacks him on the spot. Right then, he notices our boy standing nearby on a call. Refusing to ruin his larger plan out of pure spite, the young master has no choice but to let him go. Before leaving, he throws out one final piece of advice. He shouldn't make dirty plays like this as someone with no talent nor brains. Jai quietly walks away, thinking the guy seriously needs therapy for his anger issues. After that, Yuchen shifts his focus to Shan, who is brazenly talking business in the open at school. As he walks past, he overhears something about an upcoming inspection in the military district. That immediately reminds him of Shan's close ties to the military through Lin Shi and her family. Suddenly, it makes sense how Shan managed to assemble a team of experts who raided his warehouse. Like a budget snake from Metal Gear Solid, he thinks his target has no idea he is eavesdropping. That illusion shatters, though, when he sneezes loudly enough to alert everyone in a 6-mile radius. Realizing he has been exposed, he immediately sprints off, convinced he just uncovered the scoop of the century. Watching the snake crawl away, Shan's homie jokes that he looks like a debt collector is chasing him down. Our boy grins and remarks debt is something Yuchen owes a lot of, leaving Ji confused. In his previous life, the Chen family's young master was like an unbreakable tree towering above him. Now, he is nothing more than a twig Shan can snap in half. Still, he does not plan to let him off that easily. To pay back all the suffering he owes, he intends to drag the guy and his entire family down to their knees. They will beg him for forgiveness. Later at the Chen family mansion, the young master throws a hissy fit. He orders his servants to dig up every single asset and anything owned by Shan. That includes his transfer history with the Lin family. If you follow the money trail carefully, you can uncover everything about your target's operations. His bodyguard cautiously suggests that this decision is too hasty, especially after the higher-ups already chastised him for the warehouse failure. Fuming with anger, the young master tells him to stop making lame excuses. Even then, the bodyguard stays firm, reminding him that the police director has his eyes on every move they make. Not only that, he points out that it was not exactly cheap to buy Shan a fake identity and get him admitted into school. Yu Chen explodes, furious that the only thing his bodyguard seems to care about is money. He yells that worrying about money is something peasants do. The maniac even calls his own bodyguard human garbage, claiming he cannot achieve anything without throwing cash at it. Then, Yu Chen pulls out his ultimate move, Daddy's money. He yanks back the rug and reveals a safe hidden beneath the floor tiles. Unlocking it right in front of his bodyguard, he acts far too confident that no one would ever dare steal from him. He points proudly at the stacks of cash and gold bars inside he saved up over the years. They should be more than enough to handle whatever financial issues stand in his way. At a loss for words, the bodyguard tries to explain that money is not the only issue here. The real problem is the risk of breaking more laws. Making a move would attract too much attention. That only makes Yu Chen laugh coldly. He says he already took the biggest risk of his life trying to crush his enemy. He is far too deep in this now to back out. So he orders his men to do whatever it takes to uncover the connection between Shan and the Lin family. Hearing that, the bodyguard has no choice but to hurry outside and carry out the orders. After venting all his anger, the young master finally begins to calm down. He assumes our boy is probably feeling proud after making a fool out of him. An evil grin spreads across his face as he imagines Shan's reaction when his carefully crafted downfall plan is finally set into motion. Meanwhile, outside Shan's home base, a car sits quietly parked across the street. The photographer is on standby, ready to snap any photos he can get. Our boy calmly closes the window blinds. He tells Brother Peng that Yu Chen is like a gambler knee-deep in debt after a brutal losing streak. At this point, he is willing to use almost any strategy just to win all his money back. The man admits he never would have believed that a mere high schooler could push the Chen family's young master to this level. Playing it safe, he suggests they simply let Director Dong arrest him. After all, Yu Chen is practically a criminal already. Our boy explains that his way of thinking is too simple. When someone from a deeply rooted family like the Chens becomes a target, the law alone cannot truly touch them. Worst case, they could even buy a brand new identity and live as if nothing ever happened. Even if they eliminate Yu Chen's threat, his family will simply create another one, and that replacement might be even more dangerous. If you try to eliminate a snake, you will get hurt if you fail to finish it in a single strike. The most effective way to deal with a snake is to start by removing its fangs. Then you strip it of everything and make it so useless that even its own family abandons it. Following that analogy, Shan pulls out a map of the suburban area. His plan is to stage a false inspection and spread word that the military will be present. When Yu Chen overheard him on that phone call earlier, Shan is confident the desperate young master's first instinct was to cut off his connection to the military and to Lin Jingbang. The plan sounds solid to Brother Peng, but he feels that overhearing a single phone call was probably not enough bait. Shan already expects that concern. He says they will plant even more bait to hook their target tighter. As it happens, he knows the perfect person to help with that. The best bait for Yu Chen is someone he believes is completely under his control. Hearing that, Brother Peng looks at him carefully and asks if he is truly serious about using Baldy as bait. Our strategist explains that Yu Chen has been trying to manipulate Ji from the very beginning, hoping to use his homie against him. A carefully leaked piece of news coming from his best friend is guaranteed to rile the young master up. That idea does not sit well with Brother Peng, because Jie is still an innocent student who will have to live with Yu Chen's retaliation afterward. However, our strategist calmly replies that his friend's innocence is exactly why Yu Chen will never suspect a setup. Besides, it is not like he plans to throw his friend into real danger. Jai only needs to act like a loud-mouthed idiot easily bought by money and who can't keep a secret for his life. The next morning, his buddy strolls up to Yu Chen and acts overly friendly, as if nothing ever happened. Already irritated, Yu Chen tells the clown to get out of his sight. However, Jai leans closer and asks if he is really sure about that. After all, he happens to know the latest update on Shan's business story. Yu Chen asks why he should trust someone who already scammed him before. He says he is loaded, so losing a game console does not bother him, and Baldy should just get lost. Baldy mutters a few vague words and then asks if he is interested now. Hearing the juicy info drop, Yu Chen grows curious and roughly grips him by the collar. He shakes him and demands to know what he actually knows. Annoyed, Jai asks why he is showing so much attitude all of a sudden. Yu Chen slowly lets go of his collar. Taking advantage of that, Baldy says that since he is clearly stacked, the information will cost him a lot more this time. The Chen family's young master says he already gave him a console and asks what he wants now. Ji replies that the console was only a friendship fee, and if he is not willing to give more, then the deal is off immediately. As Baldy turns and begins to leave, Yu Chen thinks that in the past, he could have crushed someone like him easily. Now he is stuck while this guy shamelessly takes advantage of him. Jai throws out that he thought he had deep pockets, but in the end he is just a broke hobo. Suddenly, the desperate young master stops him and asks what he wants this time. Baldy says he wants the new iPhone because he has heard a lot about it recently. He always wanted to buy it but never had the money. Yu-Chen smiles and says that is just a small matter for him. He starts transferring the money, and Baldy reminds him to focus so he does not send it to the wrong account by mistake. After that, Yu-Chen asks if the amount is enough now. In his mind, he recalls that Shan once said he is petty at heart. Baldy tells him that Shan asked him to cover for him because he will not attend classes for some time due to company work. Jai then asks what exactly is going on. So Yu-Chen explains that Shan is heading to the western part of the city because the military plans to inspect his company soon. Apparently they want to build some kind of large logistics center there. Hearing this, Yu-Chen thinks everything matches, because it is the same information he heard while eavesdropping on Shan's phone call earlier. After that, the young master asks Baldy if this is some kind of trap. There is no way Shan would tell him something that important so easily. Jai simply replies he is like a brother to Shan, so he trusts him and shares almost everything with him. Chen mocks him and says Shan is lucky to have a brother like him honestly. But Baldy also tells Yu-Chen that they are actually two of a kind. The young master then asks if he can give him specific details like the time of inspection, or the name of the inspector. Baldy asks if he is an idiot, because asking something that specific would make him look like a spy instantly. He then asks if all that information still is not enough for him already. After that, Baldy taunts him by saying he only has beginner-level skills right now. He asks how he plans to challenge Shan with those weak skills. He advises him to stay away from Shan before things get worse. In the end, he might suffer a bigger loss just to gain a tiny advantage. Hearing that, the young master gets angry and demands to know why he always underestimates him like this. Baldy says he is only advising him as a friend, but Yu-Chen yells that he should tell him everything he knows. If he dares to betray him, he will face serious consequences that will make him regret he is alive. Jai assures him he will not do anything like that, because his bond with him is much stronger. After that, Baldy leaves, and the young master is not sure if he can really trust that guy anymore now. He comes to the conclusion that the idiot probably will not do anything to disappoint him anyway. Then he sends the details to some of his men quietly. He thinks he can easily kill Shan after he loses the military's protection for good. Meanwhile, Brother Peng is keeping an eye on both of them. He tells our boy that Chen has taken the bait and is sending messages to his subordinates. He confirms that Baldy is safe and asks what his next orders are. Our boy orders him to wait, because if they allow him to move freely, then he will easily expose himself. Peng tells him that he will maintain his position. Suddenly, he gets a call and tells our boy that he has to pick it up. When he picks up the call, he hears something which he couldn't believe, and it leaves him in a state of shock. He says that he is on the way and will reach the location soon. It turns out that his little brother's condition is deteriorating and he was admitted to the hospital. The man anxiously waits outside while the doctors operate on his brother. He has a critical condition and is fighting life and death. Soon the doctor comes out of the room and asks if Bai Fei's family is here. Bai Peng tells them that he is his older brother. The doctor tells him that his brother's condition has taken a bad turn. They show him the scan of the heart and tell him how his congenital condition has gotten complicated. Hearing all this, Bai Peng asks the doctor what he is talking about because he was told that they can delay the treatment. But the doctor tells him that this is a rare case and complications happen in the field of medicine. Bai Peng asks the doctor what will happen to his brother if he isn't treated. The doctor replies he will only have 3 months to live. Hearing that Bai Peng is shaken to the core, the doctor explains to him that the normal surgery only has a 30% chance of success in this case. He asks him if there is any other method. So the doctor explains that a new drug has been launched in the market. They can use that drug in surgery to raise the success to 80%. Bai Peng's face lights up a little, and he quickly asks how much the drug will cost him. The doctor explains that his brother needs 3 full treatment courses, and with the surgery and other costs, it will go beyond the price of 2 kidneys. Hearing that, he feels terrible, but the doctor adds that he might have another option to help him out. While handing him a card, the doctor explains he knows someone who can supply generic versions of the drug. It will have around 70% of the original effect, and the cost will be much lower than expected. Of course, going this route means taking a risk on the quality of the medicine. Right at that moment, our boy shows up and grabs Bai Peng's hand firmly. He tells the doctor they will go with the real medicine. He wants the best treatment plan along with the best ward available. He makes it clear they are not cutting corners, because money is not the issue here. The doctor thinks he is not serious and asks if he even understands how much this will cost. Acting like it is nothing, our boy pulls out his checkbook and writes a check for 1 million on the spot. He says this is just the advance, and if it falls short, he will cover the rest later without hesitation. The doctor is stunned, but our boy tells him it is valid and already sealed. Brother Peng tries to stop him, saying he cannot accept this, but Sean tells him to just calm down. He tells him to focus on what actually matters right now, because money can always come back again later. But if his brother dies, then he is gone for good, and nothing can fix that loss. He then tells the doctor to move the patient to a VIP ward and begin treatment immediately without delay. The doctor nods quickly and leaves, saying he will take care of everything personally. Meanwhile, Bai Peng thinks about how he once believed he could make a difference with his life. But after facing the harsh reality of this world, he realized there's nothing he could change. He understands now that some things are simply out of his control. Small problems over time can break someone with an iron will. After that, he tells Sean that he might have given up on life had he met him a little later. He might have become a hired thug for some random gang boss, or something much worse than that. Our boy tells him to just let go of his past and focus on the present. Now they are homies, so he will take care of his family if he watches his back. Later that night, a black car stops at an unknown location and Yu Chen gets out of it. Seeing the surroundings, he remarks it really is a rundown place. He then asks if it is the shabby place where Shan is going to reveal his grand plan. His lackeys confirm that this is the right location. He says Shan has some interesting ways to get powerful quickly. One of the underlings adds that they received information. Some military personnel will come here for an inspection after 4 days. The young master asks for the exact time and the security situation there. His underling replies that it will be at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He also explains that for now the site only has a few guards, but on the main day, Dragon Shield security will be in charge of the entire place. Hearing this, the young master smiles and mocks Shan for clinging to the military like a stray dog. He says he will crush him right in front of them without effort. Then he yells that if this is a stage, Shan will be the clown performing on it. After that, they get into the car and leave the area together. On the way back, Yu Chen starts forming a plan, and his lackey asks what he is thinking about now. While pointing at the storage area, he says that on the big day he wants an accident to happen there. According to him, if something happens at that spot, no lives will be lost. But it will still be a massive embarrassment. Chen explains the plan clearly to him. First, they will send people there holding banners to create chaos on site. After that, they will use that confusion to set the storage area on fire. He wants the military to see our boy struggle and think he cannot even manage the security of his own property. The lackey then asks what will happen if the situation gets out of control. Hearing that, Yu Chen snaps at him and says they have already killed people before. There is no need to pretend anymore now. He orders him to contact all the trustworthy men who are still in the city right now. They simply have to promise them a big reward once the job is done, and also help them get out of the city safely. Thinking about the reward, the thug gets excited and assures his boss that they will handle everything without fail. The young master thinks he is very close to his goal now, and he can almost see the look of despair on Shan's face clearly. The next morning, the military arrives at the construction site. Dragon Shield security staff is already in position. Officer Chengshan tells Staff Officer Wang about the security company set up by our boy, and how he specifically hired veterans for the job. The vice captain steps forward and introduces himself, and Chengshan then introduces back. Officer Wang says he will personally inspect the site before making any decisions. After that, the vice captain takes the lead and says they will start by visiting the main training ground first. Suddenly they hear loud noise near the entrance, and a rally shows up right at the gate of the site. People hold banners high and chant slogans, claiming Dragon Shield security is evil and demanding justice for being beaten. A man pushes forward from the crowd on crutches. He claims the Dragon Shield security members beat him badly, and he wants revenge for what happened. Then a woman steps forward and says her son was beaten by them as well. She demands the police arrest the violent group. Seeing all this, Officer Wang turns to Chengshan and asks what exactly is going on here. Chengshan replies that he has no idea about any of this. Both of them then look toward the vice captain, but he also denies everything clearly. He says they are lying, because his team could never do anything like that. Chengshan says he believes them without hesitation. The man on crutches suddenly rushes forward and shouts that Shan is a mafia boss who should be crushed by the iron fist of justice. Seeing the situation escalate, the team prepares to respond, but Chengshan quickly stops them. He says if they fight back now, it will only make the accusations look real. The vice captain stands there, unable to process what is happening. Meanwhile, back at the school, Yu Chen watches everything through a live stream. He thinks the whole situation looks very convincing. Finding it hilarious, he wonders how Shan will react to the mess he made. But he is caught off guard when he sees our boy chilling in the cafeteria, calmly eating his lunch like nothing is happening at all. Our boy casually stuffs another rice ball into his mouth while scrolling through Instagram. Matching his laid-back aura, Ji leans over and asks what has him watching so seriously. Sean grins and loudly starts talking about an epic boxing match, making sure his voice is just loud enough for Yu Chen to hear. The dude cannot believe the audacity of this guy watching boxing highlights, while his company is supposedly getting dragged through the mud. Just then, strange noises crackle through Yu Chen's earpiece. His face goes blue like his balls when he checks the live feed. The police have arrived on the scene way too quickly. Officers move in fast and immediately detain one of the victims. Suddenly, the director calls the man by his real name. The director questions how his leg supposedly broke, and he somehow received full treatment within just a few hours. The man starts sweating bullets as the officer effortlessly pieces everything together. The fake accident, the staged injuries, all of it is a stunt. Director Dong steps in looking completely in control, ordering his men to arrest every single slanderer. His squad rounds them up swiftly without causing any serious injuries. Even staff officer. He looks surprised at how rapid the police response was. At that moment, the seasoned veteran scans the surroundings. His eyes lock onto a silhouette standing high atop a nearby skyscraper. From there, one of Director Dong's men confirms that the entire incident has been recorded on tape. The scarred veteran cannot help but feel impressed, gaining even more respect for Shan's calculated counterattack. Back in class, the young master trembles in disbelief. None of this makes sense. The police were not supposed to show up. It is only then that he slowly turns around and realizes exactly who he has been dealing with. Our boy meets his gaze with a satisfied grin, and Yu Chen finally understands he got outplayed. The ground might as well be shaking beneath him. He was supposed to be undercover. Grinding his teeth, he slams his fist against the table in frustration. A passing girl who recognizes him as the recent transfer student pauses to ask if he is feeling all right. Hearing her call him a student snaps him back to reality. He remembers he is still undercover. Forcing a frown, he mutters that his stomach hurts from drinking expired milk. Then he storms off in anger. Jai watches him leave and wonders if his homie did something to push the blonde guy over the edge. Our boy drops a line of wisdom, saying mad dogs love to bark right before they die, but all that noise does not change their fate. Then he sends Director Dong a quick text, thanking him for the assistance. Clean work deserves appreciation. Meanwhile, in the boys' bathroom, the mad dog is busy banging on stall doors and losing his mind. An unescapable trap was set for him, and Shan does not even know who he is. That's what stings the most. He is convinced he never did a single thing to expose himself. His plan was flawless, or at least it should have been. Then it hits him. The only possible crack in his perfectly sculpted plan could be the one person, the right-hand man he bribed for information. He regrets that the foolish decision may have cost him everything. He gains an ounce of respect for his target. If even Shan's subordinates could trump his scheme, then maybe he underestimated them. Still, one thing does not add up. Baldy should never have known he intended to use his info to attack Shan's company. A disturbing thought crosses his mind that Baldy was the one pulling the strings the entire time. The idea makes him pause. Maybe his real enemy is someone far more dangerous than Shan. He laughs at himself, amused he was focused on the wrong person all along. Just then, someone knocks on the stall door and tells him to open up and come out already. Stunned, he quickly runs through a mental list of everyone connected to Shan, wondering who it could be. Getting cornered in a bathroom stall would easily top the list of most cringe moments in his life. A second later, the janitor's voice clarifies that he just needs to clean the stall and clock out for the day. Yu-Chen exhales in relief, realizing he is overthinking it. He steps out with a forced friendly smile and apologizes to the janitor for the inconvenience. Even the janitor starts talking down to him, advising the punk not to cause trouble for others. The humbled young master apologizes again and blames his constipation for the delay. Concerned, the gentleman janitor offers to escort him to the infirmary if he is feeling unwell. After that, Yu-Chen walks down the hallway like nothing happened, greeting a few passing girls like he did not just have a meltdown 5 minutes ago. Immediately, the girls start grinning from his contagious smile. To them, he looks like a cute puppy who cures depression with nothing but that bright, cheerful face. Yu-Chen almost dies of embarrassment, realizing that the whole point of building this bubbly persona only earns him pity from girls at best. The real reason he keeps up the act is still out there. Later at the inspection site, an officer confirms to Dong that they have apprehended all the troublemakers. Among them, a few already had criminal records, and some are even wanted. Aside from the extra profits from his demolition side hustle, the director is especially pleased with the beautiful side gift Shan left for him. Staff officer. He notices the pride practically glowing on his face. The man stays humble, saying it is all thanks to his lovely friends from Dragon Shield Security who tipped him off ahead of time. Just then, Brother Peng loudly offers his thanks from behind, intimidating him with his massive size. After that, the captain remarks that their company's methods are truly impressive. With business wrapped up, they move on to the next inspection site. Director Dong immediately updates our boy that he shared the credit for the 3 wanted vigilantes they caught. The only loose thread left is Yu-Chen. He suggests summoning him straight to the office. However, Shan has other plans. He wants to let the mad dog roam free for a few days before finally putting him down. Even so, it bothers him that the dog did not show up at school. He checks his house and his mom's shop, just to make sure nothing suspicious is happening. There are no movements around Lin Shi's house either. That only makes him more doubtful about what Yu-Chen is plotting. An egoistic nutcase like him would never just sit at home and cry after being humiliated this badly. Later that day, Ji is dozing off after class. Our boy wakes him up. His homie grumbles in annoyance that he is still groggy after barely sleeping the night before. Sean gives him a serious warning to stick to his usual route home. It is dangerous for anyone connected to him now that Yu Chen's location is unknown. The guy is probably lurking somewhere, waiting for a chance to strike. That night, he eats dinner with his mom, but his eyes never leave his phone. The areas outside his house, Lin Shi's place, and his mom's shop all remain completely clear, almost too clear. His mom notices how stressed he looks, so she asks him if there are troubles in his company. When he denies it, she suddenly scares him with a loud shout, telling him to stop wasting his eyes on his phone and just enjoy eating her cooking. She remains the only woman who can truly terrify him in his second life. But then he is forced to ignore her, because he is getting an untimely call from Jie. A call at this hour is not normal for him, and he immediately has a bad feeling that something happened. As soon as he picks up and asks his buddy if everything is all right, he hears crying on the other end. Jai sobs as he tells him that his mom has been abducted. Hearing that, Shan shoots up from his chair and demands to know exactly when it happened. Sitting alone at the dinner table, his buddy explains that when he returned home, the front door was wide open. The furniture was scattered everywhere, and he could not find his mom. Only a note left by the kidnappers. Sean asks what is written on it. His boy reads aloud that they want him to show up alone at the old brick factory in the suburbs. No weapons, no police, or he will get his mom back without her soul. Our hero immediately remembers that the factory is one of Jinhu's properties. The place was sealed off long ago after Operation shut down. Burning with rage, he is almost impressed by how Chen Yu never fails to surprise him with how low he can stoop. Even so, he quickly comes up with a plan to hit back just as hard. First, he tells Ji to leave his house immediately and take a car to his place instead. They will meet at the park on the street corner. His homie breaks down completely, crying about what he will do with his life if she is gone. He clenches the kidnap note tightly, swearing he cannot go on without her. Sean makes it clear that he will bring her back from that Chen bastard any means necessary. With that, he hangs up and rushes to the front door. After packing everything he needs into his bag, he sets off on a mission to drag Yu Chen through hell one last time. Before he can leave, however, he faces a bigger obstacle, his mom. She asks him where he thinks he is going so late at night. He casually replies that he is going to study with his buddy, like normal guys do. His mother obviously does not believe that excuse, but she lets him go, trusting that he will stay safe. Her words catch him off guard. Stepping out with quiet confidence, he tells her to keep the food on the table because he will be starving when he gets back. At the park, he meets Ji, who is crouched over miserably on a cold bench. Tears stream nonstop down his face as he complains about how long Sean took to arrive, reminding him again and again that his mom's life is in serious danger. Shan calmly reassures him and quietly asks for the note. He studies it carefully under the dim park light and quickly notices that the text is not handwritten. It's neatly printed out. His homie asks in confusion why his family was even targeted in the first place. They have never messed with anyone, and the most offensive thing he has ever done is talk trash in Counter-Strike. Gio is completely stunned when Shan finally admits that his family was targeted because of him. Chen Yu is the Chen family's next heir, and Shan has been openly clashing with him for quite some time now. As revenge for everything that happened between them, Shan kept humiliating him repeatedly without holding back. He should have dealt with that guy properly when he still had the clean chance. The kidnapping of his mother is entirely his fault, and for that alone, he feels genuinely sorry. Suddenly, his buddy tells him to stop with the lame excuses. His boss, Shan, is supposed to be the confident one who takes responsibility by actually fixing the problem. Instead of hearing an apology right now, he would much rather see Yu Chen face harsh justice. Jai adds that Shan is the most savage guy he knows, and above all, his best friend. For the sake of his friend and his revenge, our boy sets off without hesitation. He is ready to give Yu Chen what he's had coming for a very long time. He gets into the car and immediately hops on a call with his team. Peng informs him that his brother's health is steadily improving, so he is fully ready to move out at a moment's notice. Shan orders him to quietly secure the entire perimeter around the abandoned brick factory. Everyone will strictly stay on standby, and 2 trusted soldiers are to guard his home at all times. Brother Peng confirms that he has already carefully assigned men to both teams in advance. Next, Shan calls Director Dong, who is already fully up to date with the situation. The director explains that his criminal investigation and technical support teams are positioned at a safe distance from the factory grounds. He is glad to hear that, but he still warns him to keep his men further back because they might accidentally alert Yu Chen too early. The director understands immediately and agrees to hold position quietly until he personally gives the final command. Even the usually corrupt man admits that he is genuinely worried about Shan's safety. He is going alone to such a dangerous place empty-handed. Our hero does not have much of a choice right now, however. This is the only realistic way he can ensure the hostage is safe. Besides, Yu Chen would never kill off his target quickly. He would rather drag things out slowly to savor every second of it. The director says he believes in him because he knows Sean always has a plan for everything. Sean does not feel fully at ease about that. His plan to make Yu-Chen suffer like a dog and bully him did work, but only on the surface. At the same time, he underestimated his enemy, and now he is walking straight into the trap. He tightens his grip on the steering wheel, frustrated that even now he hasn't changed anything meaningful in his new life. Then it hits him what would happen if something goes wrong with Auntie Dung. Living after that would not be possible for him. Every time he sees his friends crying, or even when he looks at himself in the mirror, it would stay with him. That is why he refuses to let this fail. He takes a slow breath in and forces his mind to focus on the situation. On the radio, his team reports that there are no cameras at the brick factory. However, they also detect heat signatures that could be Yu-Chen's men holding position for an ambush. He asks for their exact positions, and they respond that they will surround the area from 3 separate angles. After hearing that, he orders Team 2 to stay on standby no matter what happens. Meanwhile, Team 3 is told to wait and move in immediately on his signal. He pushes the gas down and drives at full speed until he reaches the location. Outside the brick factory, he steps out of the car and looks up. His sharp eyes catch a small reflection in the window, likely Yu-Chen or one of his men watching from inside. From above, the young master watches and feels satisfied that his target really came alone, just as he demanded. His bodyguard is not as confident and warns that this could be bait, and they might end up getting surrounded instead. Yu-Chen just grins and says that much is obvious. But this time they hold the advantage. They have a hostage Shan cannot ignore. The poor woman tied up with ropes and duct tape over her mouth quietly whimpers. The blonde bastard asks her if she is happy, since her son's friend came all the way just for her. He laughs like a psycho, already enjoying the outcome. He eagerly waits for Shan's reaction, which is the only thing that matters right now. In his mind, this is his stage now, and Shan will follow the role he already wrote. On a nearby table, C4 is already wired and set, ready to go off at any second. Outside, Sean speaks quietly through the radio and informs Brother Peng that he is about to head in. The man replies one last time that the team will break in if there is no signal within 3 minutes. Sean does not respond again. He moves forward into the dark factory, scanning every hiding spot as he steps forward. Suddenly, Yu-Chen appears and asks if he needs some light. A play does not look good if the stage is not well lit. Sean tells the guy to stop yapping like an idiot and demands to see his hostage. Not disturbed by his insults, Yu-Chen claps his hands to begin his script. A set of studio lights nearby turn on and shine a spotlight right onto Auntie Dung. The blonde villain orders Shan to play along if he wants her to be breathing by the end. He points to a red circle painted on the ground, and our hero steps inside. Without hesitation, he remarks this is nothing, and he is prepared for anything he can throw at him. Seeing that, a satisfied smirk flashes across Yu-Chen's face. He says a good show takes time, and they are not even finished introducing all the actors yet. He then presses a remote, causing a nearby shutter to open. Shan's eyes go wide when he sees the person tied up to a chair inside. He is dumbfounded because he does not even recognize who this random old man is. His adversary makes a sharp observation that he is confused and reveals that the man is the school janitor. Our MC side eyes him in confusion, wondering if Yu-Chen is high on something. Anyway, the blonde villain eagerly continues after giving him 2 choices. Either he saves his best friend's mother, or he saves the innocent guy who cleans crap off the walls at school. There are no strings attached, but the one he does not choose will get shot on the spot, and their blood will be on his hands. Laughing like a maniac, Yu-Chen tells him to chop because he only has 10 seconds to make a choice. Against all expectations, Shan smiles on hearing that and says 10 seconds is all he needs. The young master is stunned, unable to understand what he means. Stepping out of the red ring, Shan says he has a third choice. He will save both hostages and put the blonde bastard behind bars all in one sitting. Yu-Chen starts sweating. He never expected his target to be this unhinged. Panicking, he orders his men to stop dawdling and protect him already. A masked shooter appears from behind the janitor and takes aim at our hero. The bullet flies straight past him as he dodges it reflexively. Annoyed, the shooter takes aim again. Our boy notices a pile of rubble nearby. He picks up a brick and yeets it at him, hitting him hard and knocking him out. That knocks out the first shooter, so he turns to the other one he saw in the window. He immediately ducks down, picks up another block of cement, and yeets it straight into the bastard's face. Afterward, he feels something is off. He clearly heard more than 2 gunshots before. His suspicion is confirmed when he spots a third shooter locked on him from above. The man warns him to stay put if he does not want a bullet in his skull. Sean tells him to do it and rushes straight at him. Within seconds, he reaches the guy, but the shooter does not actually fire. He tells the amateur to stop acting like an assassin. Like a real pro, he disarms him and kicks him into the wall behind. The man goes down instantly. After he knocks the fool out, Yu-Chen angrily screams and shouts like a desperate man. The professional men he hired were a waste of money. Left with no way out, he decides to use the one card he still has. He orders his backup to come out of hiding. His backup never expected a high schooler could overwhelm a surprise attack from 3 hitmen. Along with his massive guard dog, Yu Chen's bodyguard appears and swears on his honor he will not let the young master be harmed. His rabid dog opens its jaws wide and barks loudly. That makes our boy laugh, because both the bodyguard and his partner are loyal dogs in their own ways. Hearing that, Yu Chen's bodyguard gets offended, but Shan tells him it was a compliment for showing unconditional loyalty to his master. The real tragedy is that he chose the wrong master to serve, a steaming pile of garbage in human form. Refusing to take the insult to his master, the bodyguard orders his partner to attack immediately. The dog moves much faster for its size than Shan expects, but that does not scare him at all. He pulls his stick back and disciplines the unfriendly mutt with one solid strike to its back. The hit lands clean and drops the dog on the spot, leaving it unable to even whimper. Seeing his professionally trained guard dog fall so quickly leaves the bodyguard speechless for a second. However, he gets even more confused when he sees Shan run straight at him without showing a single ounce of hesitation. The man just stands there frozen, while Shan jumps into the air and knocks him down with one punch. His head hits the ground before he even understands what just happened. Done and dusted, our protagonist turns to his final target at last. His eyes widen in shock when he sees the idiot actually doing something for once instead of ordering his men around. Yu Chen runs toward a barrel of oil with C4 taped to it. Shan wonders if the psycho is so unhinged that he plans to blow himself up as one last act of revenge. But the protagonist does not plan on going down that easily. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out a grappling device. After that, he throws it up and locks it onto one of the rafters above firmly. My guy swings Spider-Man style across the room, quickly closing the distance between them. Meanwhile, the madman believes he will have the final laugh in the end. He convinces himself it is not a loss if they both go out together like this. In his mind, this is the only way a loser like him can still secure a victory. Or so he thinks, until our boy mounts him from behind and slams him down to the floor hard. He tells the bastard it has been ages since he has been waiting for a chance to finally beat him to death himself. Out of nowhere, the blonde inbred calls for a timeout and claims killing him makes absolutely no difference now. Right now, he is no longer the Chen family's successor anymore. Even then, he warns that his low status does not mean Shan will avoid their crosshairs if he hurts him today. That is because his big brother, Xuan Chen, will become the next family head soon. Hearing that eerily familiar name, Shan freezes for a brief second. He suddenly gets flashbacks of the man who offered him water during his final mission. For some reason, he clearly remembers that the guy spiked his cup with something back then. He tries to think through all the possible ways that Creep could have been involved in his failure before. Yu Chen's evil laugh suddenly pulls him back to reality. The blonde bastard sounds confident that his big brother will not let Shan off easily this time. Just thinking about how he will make life hell for him and his family seems to excite him deeply. For the first time in this life, those words hit our MC where it hurts most. He clenches his fist, unsure how to respond, while Yu Chen keeps laughing at him loudly. After a long moment, he lets it all go. Turning his mic piece back on again, he calmly tells the director to move in with his team now. His target continues to laugh manically as Shan confirms the target has been neutralized and the hostages are out of danger safely. Later at Director Dong's office, the man compliments him on the clean job he did today. With that said, the director admits he has bad news to report and shows him a text taken from Yu Chen's phone. In those chats, our hero starts to sweat when he sees the one name he fears most, Xuan Chen. The message is a request from the Chen family successor, asking for Shan's information in case Yu Chen's hostage plan fails. Meanwhile, at the Chen family mansion, a guy calmly analyzes the data gathered on our protagonist. He finds his life absolutely fascinating and begins taking a deep interest in every detail. Because of that, he comes up with an idea of getting closer to him personally. He immediately takes out his phone and orders his men to stage a scene for him. He wants to meet Lin Shi by coincidence, but it must look completely natural. Next, he also plans to enroll in Shan's university through special seats next semester. He grows eager with every second to see who his disappointment of a brother actually lost to in the end. In his eyes, dominating your enemy is quite simple. To beat a dog down, you must first know its owner. Back at the police station, Peng warns him to watch out for the glass door as he walks blindly with his eyes glued to his phone screen. He takes one glance at his partner, who is celebrating Yu Chen getting a sentence of 15 years in jail for his crimes. The guy thinks they can finally breathe easy after everything, but Shan barely reacts at all. His attention shifts back to his screen again, which irritates Peng rightfully so. The guy is confused about why he still looks so anxious, especially after getting rid of his biggest enemy for now. Lin Si texted him earlier that she needs to talk to him about something important, so he texts her back that they can discuss it at school tomorrow. Meanwhile, back at her home, she has a serious talk with her parents about leaving school soon. Shyly, she speaks up that she finally feels at home there and even made a few friends in the area recently. But her father makes it clear that the Lin family's power is over the capital city. That is the only place he can be sure she will be well protected. In response, the girl argues that the Chen family's influence over the city is no longer a problem now that Yu Chen is arrested. But her parents warn there is no guarantee there will not be a new Chen stepping in to replace him soon. Giving up, she agrees to leave, but asks for one last chance to properly say goodbye to her friends there. Meanwhile, in the police station interrogation room, the cops harshly order Yu Chen to reveal who is behind the organ trafficking cartel already. The blonde creep smirks back with no guilt or shame, treating them like clowns in a circus act. He repeats what he's been saying from the start. He has nothing to say to the popo. That really ticks the officer off, who thinks he is a boiling pig, unaware the water is heating around him every second. The officer states his family will not be saving him this time, so there is no use trying to resist anymore. With proven charges of organ trade and kidnapping, the only way he can shorten his sentence now is to snitch on his crew. Yu Chen finally decides to confess something at last. Without a single care, he says he needs to take a dump right now. The officer replies he can squeeze one out later, after he squeezes out a confession from that dirty mouth of his. The guy refuses again, so the officer snaps that he can do it in his pants for all he cares. His partner quickly calms him down and reminds him the boy still belongs to a powerful family behind the scenes. There is no telling how they will retaliate if the powerful people backing him will retaliate later. Hearing that, the officer changes his tone. He tells his partner to let the kid go, but never let him out of sight the entire time. His partner warns the young master to make it quick and not try anything dumb. Inside the restroom, the janitor turns out to be an insider who has a message for him from the family head. Yu Chen waits anxiously in silence, knowing what happens next will decide his fate. The message is simple. His single wish will be fulfilled if he stays a good boy and fully admits to his crimes. He bites his lip in frustration at the painful request placed in front of him. After thinking it over carefully, he declares that he agrees to the family's offer without hesitation. His only condition is that Zhang Shan goes through the kind of suffering that will make him wish he was never even born. Recording his twisted wish, the messenger calmly confirms he will pass on the message exactly as spoken. With that, he hands over a small folded piece of paper to him and quietly wishes the young master good luck. The next day at school, Baldy is surprised to see a letter from Lin Shi in our boy's hands. He jokes that it is a love letter. It turns out to be a formal invitation to her birthday party instead. His friend immediately lights up, saying this is his big chance to impress her. Bro asks what he plans to give as a gift. The guy destined to stay forever alone throws in some advice, saying girls like two things in gifts: something expensive and something meaningful to them, like custom jewelry or a high-class fragrance. Our boy tells him he already has the perfect gift in mind for her. That makes his buddy curious, and he tries hard to get it out of him. However, Shan says it will be revealed on the day of the party itself. Plus, it wouldn't be a surprise if he spoiled it now, would it? That makes Jai a bit upset because now he has to wait for the surprise like everyone else, even though he is Shan's best friend. Anyway, Shan feels uneasy about what Lin Shi wants to talk to him about. He has been getting bad vibes ever since she texted they needed to talk. He hopes it is just him overthinking things. On the day of the party, many high-class guests arrive, each of them bringing expensive gifts. Just watching them, Jai starts to feel out of place in his yee-yee outfit. On the other hand, our boy looks sharp and confident in his freshly tailored two-piece suit. At the entrance, he shows his invitation and tells the guard that the homeless guy standing next to him is his +1. After that, the staff welcomes them inside the banquet hall, where guests are being served premium wine. Since he received a special invitation, the butler personally leads him to the VIP room. Once inside, Jai completely loses it when he sees the kind of expensive food he has only ever imagined before. He has not eaten for the past 24 hours, just to make sure he has enough space to enjoy everything. Shan casually tells him to take it slow before he ends up regretting it later. Right then, a well-dressed man approaches and greets him in a formal tone. The man compliments his outfit, saying it suits someone of his reputation well. With his mouth full of cupcakes, Baldy looks over and wonders out loud who this overly fancy rich guy is supposed to be. The guy introduces himself, saying he is the birthday girl's cousin, Lin Jun. He offers a polite handshake, and our boy replies the pleasure is his. He stays humble and says his reputation is nothing special, just small achievements here and there. Lin Jun does not hold back and says crushing Yu Chen on his own turf is anything but small. He adds that he likes making friends who are capable and actually have valuable skills. But he also says he does not trust rumors and prefers to see proof with his own eyes. On that note, Lin Jun suggests they entertain the guests with a fun little archery game in the range at the back garden. To make things more interesting, he proposes they place a bet on it as well. Out of nowhere, Jai jumps in and says they should not be competing on a special day like Lin Shi's birthday. That does not stop Lin Jun from mocking him. He sarcastically questions if Shan is backing out or if he thinks a game like this is beneath him. The rich boy's bold provocation gets a reaction, and Shan accepts the challenge without much thought. He asks Lin Jun how he wants to run the match, and he will agree to any conditions he sets. Soon, they head to the back garden where a red carpet leads up to an archery target. Lin Jun explains the rules clearly. They must hit a target 10 meters away while blindfolded. Both of them will get 3 arrows to use. After the explanation, a butler brings over the bow and arrows for Lin Jun. He asks one last time if Shan understands the rules properly. Our hero does not answer and quietly tests the string of his bow instead. Right then, Lin Shi arrives and sees what is happening. When she understands the situation, she warns her cousin about the trouble he will face if their uncle finds out. Her cousin tells her to relax and says this is just to make her party more exciting. In front of everyone, he announces a bet. Whoever wins will have their gift opened first by her. Shan agrees to those terms without hesitation, which only makes Lin Shi more uneasy seeing him accept such a pointless contest. For a brief moment, she starts to wonder if he did this just to get her attention. After that, her cousin takes the first shot. He draws the bow with precise control and releases the arrow on command. The crowd cheers as it lands right near the center ring. Then he fires the second arrow, and Shan quietly listens as the referee announces it is a perfect bullseye. Not a single person in the crowd doubts that Master Lin will win this. The girls around them start fangirling over him. Meanwhile, Lin Shi just stands there visibly uneasy, worried about how Shan will get himself out of this challenge. Lin Jun smugly asks our hero what he thinks, pointing out he still has one last arrow left. The rich boy shows no hesitation and says he has no intention of giving him any chance at all. To perform at your best, that is the proper way to show respect to your opponent. After that, he releases his final arrow, which cuts through the night air straight toward the target. Just then, a shady figure appears behind Lin Shi, who is still distracted while worrying about our protagonist. Suddenly, he shoves her from behind, causing her to stumble a few steps forward without warning. Before she can react, the birthday girl ends up standing directly in the path of an arrow flying toward her at full speed. She cries out for help, and her voice reaches our hero instantly. His sharp ears, trained over years in the special forces, pick up that her voice came from the same direction as the target. Immediately, he grabs all 3 arrows and takes aim blindly, attempting a desperate move to intercept Lin Jun's shot. By a stroke of luck, his arrows collide with the rich boy's third arrow, snapping it apart mid-air. The crowd is left stunned, with faces filled with shock and disbelief. Like the klutz she is, Lin Shi stumbles and falls while the arrows pass right by her. She does not understand herself how they missed her at that distance. The others rush to her side, worried about her safety, but she quickly tells them she is not hurt at all. When her cousin removes the blindfold, he looks confused, not understanding why she is on the ground in the middle of the range. Disappointed by his lack of awareness, our boy tells him he almost shot her just now. Lin Jun reacts in shock and asks where the arrow went if that is true. One of the servants points toward the target and calls everyone to look, where all 3 of Shan's arrows are embedded in the center rings. Seeing that, Lin Jun is left speechless, unable to describe how precise his archery skills are. He even compares it to the 3 overlaps of Yangguan, a refined art of combat archery. The rich boy no longer considers his opponent an amateur he can bully at his own game. Still, the situation is confusing because the guy was never part of the plan, so he does not understand why his cousin ended up in the arrow's path. At that moment, our hero spots the shady figure who pushed her, sneaking away like a snake trying to disappear into the crowd. He makes a quick announcement, requesting everyone to surround the person who put the young lady's life in danger. The man tries to run, but one of the guests manages to grab him by the collar. He struggles and shouts at everyone to let him go, claiming they do not know who he works for. Amused, Shan walks up and tells him he would be more than happy to hear who his boss is. He adds that they can either call the police or he can confess right there to avoid unnecessary trouble. To be honest, it would be smarter to avoid going through the police and save himself a criminal record in the process. For a moment, the man considers accepting the offer, but then he suddenly flashes a smug grin, like he is looking at everyone as fools, and bites his lip. Shan immediately recognizes from experience that the bastard was hiding poison in his mouth in case of capture. Within seconds, the hitman starts choking, foaming at the mouth, and collapses lifelessly on the ground. Panic spreads as people shout that they should call an ambulance and that he might still be saved. Meanwhile, Shan leans closer to get any useful information. But the dying man forces out one last message before going silent. He has friendly regards from his boss, Yu Chen. After that, he dies on the spot. That leaves our boy thinking how his enemy managed to send a hit even from inside a detention center. Back in his cell, the third Chen brother laughs quietly to himself while looking at a razor blade. A dry chuckle escapes him as he mocks his brother's stingy nature, not even bothering to send proper poison like potassium chloride to make things clean. While the guard sleeps outside, unaware, Yu Chen prepares to make the Epstein exit from inside of his cell. At that moment, he remembers his childhood, when he was just a wee little psycho crushing butterflies in the garden just for fun. He felt real disappointment when he failed to crush those helpless little insects back then. That made him question if he even had what it takes to become an evil overlord of the Chen family. Back then, his personal bodyguard told him not to think negatively like that. The man calmly assured him he should not be so quick to judge himself. But little Yu Chen repeated what everyone in the family always said, that trash like him had no place in the family at all. In response, his bodyguard gave him simple advice that he could achieve anything if he truly risked his life for it. That idea stuck with him deeply. He believed he never got results because he never truly put his life on the line before. Inside his dark thoughts, he yells at an imaginary version of Shan, asking the genius to deduce where he went wrong all this time. He grows angrier and angrier as the imaginary figure of his enemy Silent keeps staring back at him. Then his thoughts shift to his family, who threw him away like the trash they always called him. Even then, they gave him one last chance to avoid rotting away inside a prison cell. While part of him wants another chance, he instead picks up the razor blade to escape that fate for good. With every drop of blood he loses, his body slowly turns colder and weaker. Right before he slips away, he looks oddly satisfied, believing he will meet Shan again in hell. The delusional idiot believes he will have the final laugh. A few hours later, Director Dong coughs loudly to wake up the guard standing outside Yu Chen's cell. The man casually makes excuses, saying his ears are sharp enough to hear anything unusual. He jokes that the kid must be obsessed with hygiene, since he has been washing something in the sink for quite a while now. That sounds strange to the director, and the guard suddenly notices something wet under his superior's shoes. His face turns pale when he realizes the dark red stain looks exactly like blood. The man starts panicking, confused about how blood ended up there without him noticing anything at all. When he turns around, he realizes too late where it all came from. He starts yelling and blaming the guard for assuming everything was fine earlier. The director panics, knowing the Chen family's lawyers are already on their way to check on him. The two rush to open the door and quickly move inside. Their jaws drop in horror when they see the boy's cold body lying on the ground, surrounded by a pool of blood. They shout at him, trying to get a response, hoping he might still wake up somehow. The guard notices the tiny blade he used and quickly runs over to check his pulse carefully. After a moment, he lowers his head in regret and tells the director that he is already gone. Hearing that, the director realizes the legal team is not coming to save him anymore. Their real job is to clean up the mess he left behind. Without wasting time, Director Dong orders the useless guard to begin an internal investigation immediately. He tells him to check everyone who had contact with Yu Chen, or even came close to him at any point. After the guard leaves, the man feels a rare sense of unease, thinking about how the Chen family could discard their own son so easily. Back at the birthday party, Lin Jun walks over with drinks and asks our boy to have a talk with him. He admits that he may have done something bad earlier, but that does not explain the sharp stares he has been getting for the past hour. Appearing seriously ticked off, Shan replies that this is just how his face is, and if he has something to say, he should just say it.